reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spent waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid. I watch all of my people die. Why your people try to act like we commit crime? Get killed on TV, got our kids scared to go outside. It's time you pick a side. Before we turn this bitch up, Mr. President, better fall in line. Yeah, we don't need loans, we need what we owe. We need police to stop killing sisters inside their home. And when it happened and we burn this bitch down, they need to stop telling us we was wrong. Ay, and we need unity. We need the government to stop bringing drugs in our community. They better stop playing, we not the ones. You got guns and we got guns. Who kill us, you play with our funds. Yeah, how we supposed to restore when they won't give us more? When they got knees on our necks when we walk out the store. How we heal when they go to the park, kill a 12-year-old boy for killing, we ready for war. Yeah, and we need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spent waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid.
Peace, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, AKA Mr. Just the Facts. Oh, we got our brother Ali in the building. Brother Ali, what's going on, man?
Peace was good. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, loud and clear.
Excellent.
We'll have a conversation today. Let me share the link out to the fam in the back channel, and let everybody know that we are live. We are live, and today we're gonna have a conversation about: is it time for us to vote Republican? Ali, this should be an interesting conversation. I'm gonna read from like a uber liberal New York Times contributor, Charles Blow, and what he said in his book, The Devil You Know. We're going to get into some of that later. But for now, I need everybody that's coming in to hit that like button, share the video out, hit the subscribe button so that you could become a part of the notification nation and be informed every time BTP goes live. We about to get this thing back jumping. I'll go to Patreon/Be the Power. Shout out to our fam that's in the building. My brother Dre was good. Why Dre don't got a wrench on here? I don't understand that. My man Dre, we gotta get Dre.
Yeah, Dre need a wrench, man. If you can, do me a favor before we really jump into
oh yeah,
I'm gonna be talking about. Can you pull up your reparations video from 2011 and just show it on the screen? I just want you to show the date on that.
I got you. Let me give our brother Dre a wrench. Let me see. Our brother a wrench real quick. All right, so I know I know where you want to go with this. Because there was a video done. Sister Antonia, what's going on, sis? Sister Shanna is in the building. What's good? We got somebody in the chat already, Ali, saying somebody named Pookie Bear 97 saying no, why? Like, no. Why should we vote for the Republican?
I don't know. I mean, I know why I'm gonna do it. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I know what I could do. I don't know about nobody else. But go ahead.
No doubt. What's going on, Sister Isla? BTP, United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. We in the building, fam. Okay, so let me pull that up, man. Y'all make sure y'all share this video out. Click like on the video if you're on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet. Give us a retweet. Share this out. Let's get a couple hundred people up in here because we want to talk about politics today. This conversation is not just going to be, I don't want to say it's not going to be confined to the topic. That's the wrong choice of words. This conversation is going to have several layers based on the topic. We're going to speak a little bit to what's going on in California. Pookie Bear asks, what tangibles are they offering? Okay, we're going to get into that. We're not disillusioned. We know politics. just a little bit. So we're not dumb. We know what the Republican Party has stood for over the past 60 years. We're not dumb. So here's our video. Let me see if I can blow this up. Boom, boom. Okay. So there's a reason why Brother Ali wants to start the stream off with this video, because we've on this end, we've been trying our best to keep the peace in the reparationist movement. And when you hear people say that what we're doing is based off of some false ideal, that we were fans of their shows and things of that nature, it paints us in a false light. And y'all know when somebody comes at BTP, we not going to ignore it. Y'all already know that. We're going to address it. We're going to address it. So this is a video that I put together 12 years ago. You can see it, 270,000 views, and you see it right there. It says 12 years ago. Right. I for one, have been a proponent of reparations for the longest. I've been a proponent for reparations for the longest. I used to debate with the brothers and some sisters in the Moorish movement about reparations, which was baffling to me because the founder of the organization was quoted as saying something to the effect of, one day the European is going to have to pay off for the work that our ancestors did in slavery and pay off in compounding interest. So anybody that says that we on this end were not about reparations and that we were, because I could go there, Ali, right? I could pull up pictures of other homegirl, original homegirl, and videos where she's talking about, she's dissing reparations, right? Calling Ta-Nehisi Coates' arguments what does she call them? Intellectually bankrupt. And I don't want to go there.
Yeah, intellectually bankrupt. She was talking about reparations. Looks like something that Bernie Sanders would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Votes, right? So there's a starting point. And the brother at that time, if my memory serves me correctly, was a prosecutor. He was prosecuting our people. Now, if you do the crime, you do the time, right? We know that. But dealing with prosecutors, growing up in the hood, whether they look like me or not, they were never fair. So I can't imagine that he ever was. And again, we don't want to open up this can of worms. But because, we were referenced in one of the brothers' videos, and for whatever reason,
the latest video that came out. It's the latest video that came out where he's allegedly explaining why the bills failed in California to pass through the governor's office and be signed into law.
Exactly. And what's going on, Vince Jefferson? Dr. G is in the building. BTP Riri is on deck. The fam is up in here. Make sure y'all click that like button, share the video out, share it to your peoples. Let them know we have some brothers having a conversation, and they're asking the question: should we vote Republican? Is it time for us to vote Republican? And I'm going to read a powerful excerpt from out of the book, The Devil You Know by Charles Blow. So, was there anything you wanted to speak to this video, Ali? Because I want to share something real quick, some screenshots that we took a couple years ago.
Nah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So again, family, I've been a proponent and advocate for. No, I've not been in no griot articles or no articles like that, but I can show you. And if anybody goes back and watch the video, yes, it's at a time when I was into some of that crazy Moorish stuff before I really got into the real Moorish movement. But I watched this a couple months ago and I realized that I really wasn't off on a lot of things, Ali, outside of the sovereign citizen stuff at the time that we kind of came into in the fake Moorish movement. But really, a lot of what I said in that video was on point. It really was. And it's still valid until this day on the issue of race.
And it's the concept to just the whole fundamental principle that a debt was owed to this particular group of families in this country. That's something that is the common thing that runs through all of the all of the reparations arguments, even the ones that are coming from other people. It's like, look, yeah, we understand um, that something happened in this country. A bunch of things happened in this country, and that there's specific families that are owed a debt, and this country needs to make right by these families, do right by these particular families. And so that's the main thing that I wanted to point out. See, people think they want to try to paint this picture that somehow reparations advocacy starts with their organization or them making YouTube videos, and that's just not true. That's not the truth, right? This is something that has been an issue for our people for a long time, since the time of Reconstruction. And this is the thing that they don't want to talk about, because they don't want to acknowledge the freedman aspect of this whole thing. They want it to be about ADOS, but it's not about ADOS. This thing is rooted in freedmanism, and there's no way around that. There's no way around that.
That's right. So let me see. Where is what am I looking for? There we go. Okay. So I want to get into this. And there's a reason why we're setting this stream off with this, because, you know, we like peace to Ron. See what's going on, fam. You know, like at some point we have to get serious about reparations. We have to get serious about our political fight and our political future. We are being outmaneuvered on every side. We don't have time to be fighting each other and infighting and sniping and adding like that. That's just corny, fam. That shit is corny. And
yeah, but I'm gonna say this, bro. The people that are concerned with that and consumed with that, we should cut them off.
That's right.
I've been saying that kind of stuff even when we were doing Twitter Spaces. All of the people who are concerned with the divisiveness in that sense, cut them off. Like, we don't need any of these people. There are folks who are cult members, and I get that. People who want to worship certain individuals, and I get that. You can worship those two people from the ADOS movement if you want. If that's your thing, if that's what you're about, do that. But keep that stuff over there, right? Stop attacking other people who are actually trying to do something. And I want to just say this, right? Because this is very important. Because I was watching some of the video that he put out about the California, the bills in California, why it didn't work. My thing is this, and I said this before, we are in uncharted territory. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because nobody in this country has ever secured reparations for the American freedmen families nationally. No one's ever done this stuff before. No one's done it in California. It's never been done in California. Antonio Moore has never secured reparations for anybody in California. So he's no more of an expert on how it's supposed to be done than anybody else who's interested in doing it. Not at all. He has no track record of doing anything like that. Neither does Yvette Carnell. Let's just keep it 100, right? Because we want to be worshiping people. Neither one of those people have a track record of pulling reparations for any of their people. They're not even really socially or politically, active in the areas where they live. From everything, from all of the accounts that come out of California, this guy socially is not involved in anything that was going on. Politically, he's not involved in anything that was going on there. The same can be said about Yvette Carnell. And I'm not trying to call these people's names, but I'm saying just within the last couple of days, both of them have attacked the people for trying to make something happen positive. And whether you agree with all of the methods or not, whether you like the individuals or not, the point is these two people don't do anything constructive. They don't do anything positive to actually make change, not even in the locales where they're at. They're not active in anything. So you can talk all of this about, oh, it wasn't about the state paying reparations. It was always about the federal government. Yeah, but you're not doing anything on the federal level to make anything happen. And even if you thought that the way that they were doing things in California was supposed to lead, you should have lent your support. If you're truly a reparationist, and I know y'all don't like that word, but if you're truly a reparationist, someone truly invested in the issue of reparations and making that happen, if that's what you are, you would have got involved when they was asking you to. and to make sure that the thing goes the way it's supposed to go, if you know what you're talking about, if you know what was supposed to be done. I don't see how you know this for a fact because you've never done it before. Neither one of you have, but if you know what was supposed to be done, you should have done it. You should have done it. Be a leader. See, the thing about this whole leadership thing is that certain people are not designed to be leaders. That's a real serious thing, right? To be able to step into the role of leadership, you got to have the temperament. You got to have the personality. You got to be able to engage with people to do this, even in situations that are not to your liking. You got to be able to step into that role. And that's not what these people are. They're not leaders. They're shit talkers. They're shit slingers. There are people that attack people on social media like Roland Martin did without understanding, like Roland Martin seemed like he didn't understand, is that people can come see you with all of that stuff that you keep doing online. Like you think all that shit stays online, but at some point, if you outside in the right place, somebody could come and see you about that stuff. Roland Martin found that out.
That's right.
So all I'm saying is this, man. If we supposed to be family, then act like that. Act like you family. And if you're truly a reparationist, I don't give a damn if you don't like the word. Be a reparationist for real. Do your part. Everybody's trying to do something. Do your part. When they were asking you to be involved, you should have got involved. You should have gotten involved. It's as simple as that. And here's another thing. He played the video, and believe me, I'm not trying to really take any side here, but what I don't like is I don't like the fact that these two people consistently find reasons to attack other people when they have no track record of doing anything at all other than making YouTube videos. Like they're not involved in anything. You know what I'm saying? People that know what we're doing, they know that we're involved with what's going on in Boston and in Massachusetts. They know that we're involved in that stuff. We don't live there. We're not residents of the state or the city of Boston. But the fact of the matter is we're involved because people asked us to get involved. We're not the ones spearheading any of the efforts, but we're trying to do and lend our support as best that we can. Right. And if anybody else asks us for assistance, whatever we can do, we've always been willing to do that. At the same time, that's not the case with these folks. They're waiting for things to happen that can be construed as, or that are negative that happens, so that they can construe it as being the fault of the people who were involved. Meanwhile, they were doing nothing but making YouTube videos and collecting donations from people. That's not it. That's not it. I'm sorry. That's not it. That's not reparations work. Not reparations work. And so the same thing happened on with Yvette Carnell. She did the same thing. As soon as the thing happened, here she goes with the tweets and whatever she said in her tweet. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Bunch of childish nonsense. The fact of the matter is, these people are not interested. So we can go now moving forward. These people are not interested in reparations.
I'm trying to work because you just dropped some bombs, so you got to pause. Was you able to hear that? We playing with.
I heard it. I heard it a little bit. I heard it a little bit.
But I want to address something real quick, Ali.
Yeah.
This guy right here, man. You know he's a fanboy. He's a fanboy. So he said, "Where y'all boys' track record? Let's keep it a buck." So I want to before we move forward, let me go into this is the about page on usadof.org, right? And some of you may have seen our website for the first time. We got an audience on Twitter. We have an audience on YouTube. And I know some of them are watching because they see the title and they may be their first time watching our platform. So our vision statement is clear: to ensure that the broken promises of Reconstruction are fulfilled for today's American freedmen. And that our vision statement is our mission statement. But our background and accomplishments in the fight for remedial justice. This is a list. Each one of these paragraphs.
You talking about this fanboy? I thought you was talking about somebody serious, man. Come on, man. This nigga's a troll, yo.
Hold on, bro. It serves to show everybody else that may not know, right? It's like, okay, well, what have y'all done? Well, this is not even everything. And I could read it, but I'm not. Visit the website, usadof.org. Go to the About Us link. I'm going to put this in the chat again. And I just wanted to show that because other people need to know that we put work in this movement. We put work, and we're continuing to put work in this movement. We just had a interview earlier, Ali, right, with a major newspaper. And in spite of what may be going on between the reparationist groups, we are still able to reach out to other brothers and sisters and say, yo, we told this major newspaper that y'all can give more clarity and detail on what's happening in Cali. They was interviewing us for something else, for the work that we're doing in another city, So, yeah, man, what's going on, Reg Rock? What's going on, fam? So, if you want to become a member to the channel, please become a member. Help us build our platform up. People need to hear our voices. People need to hear what we got to say. So I'll leave before.
Let me say this real quick, just about what we've done in terms of track record. Just recently, just one of the more recent things we've done within the past couple of months, drafted an executive order. No one's ever done that before, not to my knowledge. Drafted an actual executive order and submitted it to the Biden administration, urging them to create a commission on reparations specifically for the American freedmen families. This thing is designed, the way the executive order is drafted, it would create a commission that would then make recommendations after fact-finding national slavery and what that meant to our families on a national level. Fact-finding, then make recommendations to Congress about appropriate remedies. I've never seen that from anyone else, right? But that's something that we did. We created a petition to muster up support for the creation of such a commission, a presidential commission on reparations. It's not a whole lot of support for it, but we've done this, and this was done a few months ago, right? I know I don't expect ADOS members to support anything that we're doing. But ADOS members don't comprise nowhere near the majority of the people in this country that are interested parties with regard to what this is about. So I really don't care whether they support us. My thing is, me personally, I would prefer to cut ADOS completely off and out of everything that we're involved in. I'm going to be honest with you, because they've proven themselves to be nothing but problems, right? And to me, I'm not into engaging problems on a consistent basis coming from other grown people. They can solve their problems best wherever they at. I don't need to be the one trying to deal with them all the time. And I don't really care to hear what they have to say or to always have to be subject to them and their bullshit attacks. That's what I would say. My suggestion would be to employ the very same tactics that they've been employing with everybody else, which is to block them motherfuckers on every social media platform that you see them on. Block them. Lock them out of the shit that you're doing, because they're not beneficial to anything that you're doing anyway. Why do we need to see their tweets? Why do we need to see their fucking videos? Unsubscribe from their goddamn channels. Who the fuck are they? Like, seriously, they're not anything that anybody needs. They haven't produced anything. They don't do shit, right? Wherever they are, wherever their alleged chapters are, they haven't produced anything. The most you're going to get out of ADOS followers is praise and worship of Yvette Carnell at this point, because it ain't even about Antonio Moore anymore. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. Back in, high school, you was the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you?
What the fuck happened to you? Yo, I'm just saying, like, stop playing with us, fam. Stop it. because y'all know how we give it up, and we're not trying to go back there. Like we really are not trying to go back there at all. So I want to share this real quick, Ali. I want to share the tweet that, because he brought it up in his video and implied that we were fans of his show, and this is why we created the show. So this is him tweeting at us. I see you, BTP. I made 10 black shirts and was done packing shirts. Who got the original 10 hashtag ADOS shirts that came packed like Subway sandwiches? I didn't do all that clear bags and thank you stickers. Laugh out loud. Put the laughing face emoji, because this is when it was all cool and we was rocking together. We were fans of no one. And if we're going to say that we were fans of Antonio, but then he would have to say, Ali, that he was fans of us, because this is him sharing clips of Be the Power. Especially, I remember this breakdown because we were breaking down HR 40, and he said, we got all of this stuff saved and stored. All the talking doesn't recognize before ADOS there were 2 co-sponsors for HR 40. Now after ADOS there are 135 co-sponsors. Because this is the stuff that we was breaking down, that this collective movement, not these 2 individuals, but the collective movement that was out there putting in work, and the work that this group is not putting in anymore at all. Well, they started getting these sponsors. We start putting pressure on these people. And so you see me and Brother Logic and Brother Ali in the clip. So if we were fans of Tone Talks, then Antonio Moore and Tone Talks was fans of Naheem, Ali, Logic, and Josh at the time, and the Be the Power platform. So don't ever try to come at us and make it seem like we were fans. Man, I got a lot of this stuff here. Shout out to Dr. D on the same show. Superb dissection of HR 40 by the Be the Power brothers. Shout out our man.
Because the other 2 people didn't do that. The other 2 people blindly followed it and was supporting it in the very beginning.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck. You know it all. Like you got all the answers, but yet you were supporters of HR 40 in the beginning until it was being pointed out to you that it was not what it was supposed to be.
That's a fact.
Then they switched positions on it. But that wasn't their original position. Their original position was, let's support HR 40 and blah, 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 whatever. People is disconnected, right? But look, man, I'm going to speak for myself. I was never no fan of anyone. I was always a supporter of a quote unquote movement of what I thought was reparationists, right? And when it revealed that itself to not be what I thought it was, and that's what, look, I'll shift positions on that. Like, look, you're not going to get my support no more, especially them. But the fact of the matter is, because it's such a cult following, they had their whole entire group damn near coming at us over the use of the word reparationists. Huh? Well, I ain't forget that stuff. So the bottom line is this, bro. The relationship that we've had with them has been nothing but toxic. There's nothing positive. There's nothing fruitful about it at all. Nobody on their side can say that the relationship has produced anything fruitful. Nobody on this side can say it's produced anything fruitful. So what I say is everybody should just go their separate ways, especially with regard to that particular group of people. Y'all should just move on and do your own thing. Stay out of the affairs of the American freedmen. You people are descendants of slavery. We're American freedmen over here. Do your thing. It's as simple as that. We're not the same. We're not the same. So you do your thing and we'll do our thing. I'm waiting for the ADOS legislation. Federal legislation. Forget the state stuff, because I know they don't believe in state and local initiatives. Go ahead and where's the federal stuff? Because we done did stuff federally and locally. We've done stuff federally and locally. State level shit, all of that. A bunch of us have done this kind of stuff. While these people sit and wait for something to fail or to not work, like we don't live in some white supremacist society. Like we don't live in a society where the Democrats are making it known that they're not truly about reparations.
That's right.
Them people that you want to vote down ballot for so fucking bad. They're letting you know that this is not something that they're interested in.
So that's a good segue, Ali. That's a good, and I want to play the Van Jones clip. We should hopefully, let me see, find this Van Jones clip. I'm gonna play that. Hey, family, make sure y'all hit the like button. We got 100 people watching on Twitter. Y'all come on over to the YouTube channel. Hit like on it. Support the platform. $ Be the Power on Cash App. Go to our website, usadof.org, if you would like to make a donation to our nonprofit. We're building. We're moving in the streets. We out. We got boots and stilettos on the ground. Shout out to my sister Antonia. Shout out to brother Jonathan up there in the New England area putting in work, putting in work. And, you know, we're all active in our local areas. And we have 3 established chapters of United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. We could say that. we could definitely, if you in the North Carolina area, a chapter just opened up there. So make sure y'all get up with us. Send an email, freedmen@usadof.org. If one of my mods can put the email address in the chat. I'm trying to find this Van Jones video, Ali. You cook for another couple minutes because you definitely going in right now anyway.
Well, look, with regard to the topic, you know, you got to understand something. And, you know, I know people are very afraid of, they're very much afraid of the Republican Party because due to the Confederate element inside of that party. So they come up with all kinds of excuses why they shouldn't move right. And one of the main excuses is, oh, what kind of tangibles are they offering you, right? Like the dude mentioned earlier. Well, what kind of tangibles are the Democrats offering you? They're not offering you anything. Not offering you anything. They haven't offered us anything since the 1960s. Let's be honest. They just haven't, right? And you can talk about the Affordable Care Act, but the Affordable Care Act is something that was put in place for American citizens. See, what we're talking about is addressing issues that was designed to specifically harm our families here in this country. Those of us who came up from slavery, okay? Those of us who came up from slavery in this country and who now possess the stain of slavery. That's what we're talking about. How to remedy the stain of slavery that we inherited. We're not talking about general policies that are put in place for all Americans. I understand the rising tide lifts all boats thing, and I understand that there's certain people who benefit from the Affordable Care Act. But
so you did immigration, you know, obviously.
Yeah, go ahead. You can run it.
No, I did that. That was an accident.
Yeah, so no, I was just saying we're beyond just Affordable Care Act and criminal justice reform, because people try to pretend that those are the two issues that pertain to Black Americans. If Black Americans are nothing but people who don't have health insurance and people who are committing crimes and unjustly being dealt with unjustly in the judicial system or by the police. And that's just not the case. It's not all of us who are being arrested and ran roughshod over in the judicial system. So, but that is stuff that needs to be addressed. We need to address that, but we also need to address various different things. A lot of that stuff is laid out in our 12-point agenda. In the is this 12 or did we add more to it? I don't remember. I remember the 12 point.
Talking about adding more to it, but I mean, even if you look at our 12-point agenda, the first 2 agenda items are something that's being pushed. Like, we have a plan and we're working our plan. People could say what they want to say, man. Sack rapping dude in the chat, yo, you could say what you want to say, fam. At the end of the day, we're working. And the only thing that we've ever asked for is for people to work. And like I said, when it comes to segueing into the topic, these people are Democrats. I was on the stage yesterday with this named Texwell. He's been a part of the ADOS movement forever, talking the same nonsense. And I caught him up so many different times. And then I explained to him that when Tamara Johnson Shirley was running for U.S. Senate in the state of Georgia, ADOS West Atlanta decided that they were going to back Warnock. They told me and Logic that by Zoom. This was a Zoom call. So
I remember that.
No, they told us that. So I don't know what y'all people are on, man, but we got to get this thing right, fam. I'm trying
a lot of these folks, man. I thought it was dope. The video that Angela Stanton King caught of Roland Martin's feed, with the ad that came up. I know he said it was an ad or whatever. The naked butt boy coming across the screen and shit. But one of the things that she said that I thought was very interesting was that she said 90% of the guys that I know who still support and rock out with the Democratic Party are gay. I thought that was interesting, right? Because I'm not going to say 90% of the people that I know that support the Democratic Party are gay. That's the 90% of the guys that she knows. But I think it's very interesting that when it comes down to the supporters of the Democratic Party, the males anyway, a lot of them tend to have very feminine approaches to things. People like Roland Martin, people like Ricky Smiley and others, Plies. These guys they exude a lot of feminine type of tendencies and ways and energy about how they approach with how they approach things and even the way they engage in conversations. The hostilities that come out a lot of times seem very, very emotional. You know what I mean? The type of things that you would expect from some emotional church woman, right? You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but we just know that men and women operate in different kinds of ways. And and a lot of the stuff that we see coming from some of these males, these black-faced Democrats, is you see a lot of this kind of energy. You know what I mean? And we know that energy is very pervasive in the ADOS movement. Like you a lot of feminine stuff happening there. So it just is what it is. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but I'm just saying we're different. We're different. And so it's like water and oil. We're not going to mix. Not going to mix.
Facts. Fire. Shots are fire. And we tried to chill. We tried to chill. So let's get into this. Let's get into this topic, fam. Shout out to my sister in the building, my sister Roz, brother Iron Physique. What's going on, man? What's going on to my fam out there in California? Dre said it's 95%. So I wanna play this Van Jones video. I want to play this Van Jones video because this is important, and I'm gonna call fair use on the video. But what he says here, I want you all to pay attention to this.
This party behind her, but she's doing something. She's fixing some problems on the left. This whole thing has been an implicit critique of problems that we've had on the left. The left before we walked in here was about justice, diversity, trigger warnings, reparations for the past, and a bunch of party poopers and scolds. That was the knock on the left. We have gone from talking about justice, which is wonderful, but now it's about freedom. It's not just about diversity, it's about patriotism. It's not just about trigger warnings. In fact, that's gone. It's tough, tough, tough. Reparations for the past? No. Fight for the future. Party poopers? No. We legalize fun. We legalize fun. We put the party back in the Democratic Party. And so this is
Hey, Alisa, what do you think about what this man just said about reparations for the past? No. Fighting for the future, yes. And forget our reparations. It's time to legalize fun. It is time to put fun back into the party. And who knows what these people's idea of fun is, right? Does it mean men stripping down butt ass naked and walking through a parade somewhere in the streets of Manhattan? Maybe. I don't know what that means when my people are suffering all over this country. So what are your thoughts on that, bro?
I think that he's articulating what it is that the Democratic Party is about and the positions that they are going to be taking moving forward. I think what we saw in California is just an indication of what we should expect to come moving forward from various heads of the party. You know, the problem is what he doesn't understand and what they don't understand is that reparations for the past is a fight for the future. I don't see the two as distinct. I see it as you remedy the past wrong so that you can move forward properly into the future. Move forward properly into the future in a prosperous way, in a way where the people who were harmed can actually access the upward mobility that they should be able to access in the way that they should be able to access it. That's the difference. So they are trying to take the position of, hey, we're not going back, right? This is one of their mantras. We're not going back. And that includes reparations. You know, the way Brother Ibrahim broke it down to us on the phone. And I was like, I agree with that 100%. Them saying that we're not going back, that includes reparations. Like Van Jones has said, reparations for the past. No, that's a no-go. And the party is adopting this position. Not that they haven't already been of that position, but I think what they're trying to do now is make it very clear. Listen, the carrot dangling is over. The carrot dangling is over because basically that's all we've been dealing with this whole time is carrot dangling. In my opinion, that's what it's been, bro. Like I'm just being 100. And so I think what we have to do, those of us who are freedmen conscious, I don't know about anybody else because it seems like nobody else does anything anyway. But those of us who are freedmen conscious, who have been doing things, need to really pull it together at this point. Because at a certain point, you're going to need to be able to rally with each other and support each other in the things that you're doing so that you do see the numbers that you're supposed to see, so that you can have the influence on the people that you need to have the influence on, which is the average everyday American who is not as familiar, who is not as well versed. We're going to have to start having these conversations in a way where we're educating people about what's going on and the seriousness of the now, the ramifications of what it is that's going on and what this means moving forward. I can't hear you. Sound like you muted or something. I don't know. I still don't hear you.
1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
Now I do.
Oh, okay. So if something else is playing, I was checking the numbers on YouTube. I'm working with a new system over here, y'all. So bear with me if it gets a little wacky. We trying to set it up to take phone calls now as well, but we working on an issue with echo. So the caller will hear him or herself echoing, and we can't quite figure that part out yet. But in the upcoming live streams, we will be taking live calls. So, you know, that made me think of this video. We played this often on, we play a few of these videos. So I want to start here. Let's start here.
So he did immigration, obviously stopping this stupid wall that they're building. Yeah. He dealt Muslim with the Muslim ban, getting rid of the Muslim ban. He dealt with making sure that I think 11 million people will become citizens. So he's doing things, right? But with black folks, you can't just sign something to say stop killing black people. It's not that simple.
So, you got to think if this is what they were saying when Biden came into office, that it's not that simple. We are not going to focus on you because it's not a simple thing to do. Now we see what happened in California, and we know, right? Anybody with eyes, especially looking through a political lens, can see that this was a political play, something that they felt would hurt them with maybe centrists and moderates in the state, the people that they would like to capture. Gavin Newsom, the possibility that he may run in 2028. All of these different scenarios have been bandied about, and rightfully so, because we know that was a political play. So if it's 4 years ago that Biden did the stupid wall, right? Tamika Mallory, what she said, and reversed the
He
Muslim
stopped
ban.
it. He stopped the stupid wall.
Stop the
So
stupid wall. That was
that's an insane comment to make.
that
That
is
is insane, bro.
because
Wow.
these people are now here, millions of them. They're taking over cities where the soft dude in the chat is from. I bet he ain't, if I had a chapter out there and there was some dudes taking over my city or someplace close to me, we gonna mount up. We gonna put them things on our backs and ride out. We ain't gonna be in the chat talk about worshiping two other people. I could tell you that for a fact. I could, because we starting to see some movement happening in Chicago against them Venezuelans. But that aside, now we're at the point of what Kamala promises. No reparations for the past. Now get that up out of here. We want to be a party of fun and being able to do what we want to do. We want to subvert democracy. Brother Ali has been saying for the past couple of days that the Democrats have waged war on the American freedmen. And in my estimation and interpretation of those words, it means that they have waged war on the American freedmen. Who has been more, waged war on democracy? Who has been more loyal to this country than us? We are a monolith. American freedmen are a monolith. Black people, well, no, right? Aggregated black folk, no. Black as an aggregate group, no. But the American freedmen are a monolith, and we've always been a monolith. And that means that the Anglo-Saxon, the original European American or the original white people, well, they are the monoliths, but they attacked the country. We've never done so. Now, all of a sudden, we're being penalized by open border policies, and people like Tamika Mallory talking about the wall is stupid, while these people are coming over and they're at every construction site, every single construction site they have taken over. They are your landscapers. They are your everything. And they're starting to move into the tech field to solidify themselves with the people of India that's over here on them H-1B visas and permanent citizen residents, however you say that crap. Like Kamala, parents came over. Some people question us citizenship. That might be another show. What do you say to that, Ali?
I say, starting with the last thing you said, her citizenship is questionable. It is. It is questionable. Whether or not she's actually a citizen or not is something that's questionable, and it has nothing to do with birtherism. It has nothing to do with Barack Obama or being similar to Barack Obama or none of that shit. It has everything to do with the status of her parents at the time of her birth. When she was born, her parents were not citizens of the United States. Neither one of them were. All right. And so what it comes down to is the interpretation of certain laws and policies pertaining to legal status in the United States at the time of a child's birth and how that stuff is being construed. So, yeah, we can go into the details of it, going back to the Wong Ark case of the Supreme Court and moving forward through different Supreme Court cases and federal policies pertaining to that. But the fact still remains, her citizenship is questionable, right? So that aside, to say that the wall building is a stupid thing is like saying it's a stupid thing to lock your front and your back door to your own house. This is how retarded these people are about this thing, because it's all about identity politics for them. It's all about fear mongering with regard to the Republicans and Donald Trump in particular. Project 2025, right? Someone just said this earlier today on Roz's thread on Facebook, right? And I responded, I said, Project 2025 came from the Heritage Foundation. That's not Trump's thing. Trump's thing is Agenda 47. Here's his webpage, right? DonaldJTrump.com with Agenda 47. And it breaks down and outlines everything that is included in that particular agenda. There's a video circulating because I know the Heritage Foundation, they consider it a far right group, and they have some extremist views, and some of the things in Project 2025 are extremist stuff, right? White nationalist things. But what's interesting about the Heritage Foundation is that this organization has been around for a while. It's been around for a while, and there's a video of Barack Obama talking about the Affordable Care Act and how the Affordable Care Act is something that came from the ideas of the Heritage Foundation. This is Barack Obama admitting that stuff, that he took a lot of Republican ideas and put it into the Affordable Care Act. He said it came from Mitt Romney, but where did Mitt Romney get it from? He got it from the Heritage Foundation. Barack Obama is acknowledging that. So, yeah, they have some extreme ideas. But if you can weed through certain things and find some things that are good and take those and adopt them for your own agenda, then that's something different, because we're not going to all agree on everything. We're not going to all agree on everything. Yes, there's a white nationalist Confederate element within the Republican Party. But what I wanted to say was that the Republican Party is our party, whether people realize that or not. They can say we've been Democrats and party realignment and all of that, and I know that those things happen. But the Republican Party is the party that we invested in and helped to build from the beginning. That's the party that our ancestors went into coming out of slavery. The Democratic Party was, in fact, the party of the Ku Klux Klan. Not only that, from a historical perspective, as we're dealing with it right now, they're showing you that they are, in fact, the party of immigration, legal or illegal. They are the party of expanding LGBTQ rights. They are the party of ensuring that women can abort or murder babies without the father having anything to say about it. And this is where we are. They are not the party of reparations. They are not the party of remedial justice for the past. You just heard Van Jones explain it. You just saw what happened in California. These are Democrats doing this stuff. They talk about the Central Park Five, and then one of the things that people have been speaking on, and Sister Shannon was one of the first people that kind of pulled my coattail to it and made me really think about it, is, hey, when that happened to them, you're talking about something that happened in New York City, which was a Democrat-controlled city. Mayor Ed Koch was a Democrat, even though some people look at him as a Republican type of Democrat, but he was a Democrat. The prosecutor, Linda Fairstein, I think her name is, was a Democrat. Right at the time that Donald Trump took the ad out, he was a registered Democrat. The newspaper that he took the ad out in was a Democratic newspaper. So, and this is something that even Sister Sonny Johnson points out a lot in her spaces, is that a lot of the things that happen to us in Democratic strongholds with regard to police injustice, criminal, the judicial injustices that we see in the courts, etc. A lot of this stuff is happening to us in Democratic strongholds. Why is that? Well, because that's normally where we live. That's where we're congregated, in areas that are mostly Democratic controlled. So the police in those Democratic controlled areas, who are underneath Democratic mayors, etc., are the ones who have been railroading us. When we were living, growing up in New York, dealing with stop and frisk, we were living up under Democratic mayors for the most part, while all that stop and frisk stuff was going on. So we can't forget, we can't overlook the reality of this stuff. Can't overlook the reality of this stuff. The blight that's happening, the problems that we're having, with immigration in New York City. It's up underneath a Democratic mayor right now, Friedman. I think he's Friedman. I'm not sure, but I think Eric Adams is a Friedman.
He got some Friedman in him. It's
right.
Hard to call him.
Right. I'm just saying, so even with that being the case, we're still dealing with problems, right? Because of these sanctuary city statuses, these sanctuary state statuses and stuff like that. These are all Democratic places, because people want to pretend like the replacement thing is just some kind of a theory. Nah, it's not a theory. It's more than that. You have Democrats trying to ensure the rights of illegal aliens to be able to vote in elections in certain places. Why are they doing something? Why would they feel the need to do something like that?
Let me play this
There's a
clip.
reason. All of this stuff is being done for a reason. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, this is the topic tonight. This is tonight's topic. And soon, like I said, we're going to have our call-in feature. We just got to figure out this echo thing. But I want to play this clip, right?
Yeah.
In juxtaposition to what Tamika Mallory said.
I think we should have strong border security. It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are, oftentimes in very hazardous situations and unmonitored situations that could do us long-term damage. I think we should have a serious employer verification system where employers, when they hire somebody, find out what their work status is. Are they able to work here legally? Right now, what employers will say is, well, we check their Social Security card. That's the best we can do. So we've got to set up a tamper-proof system and then hold employers accountable. You go to the back of the line so that those who came here legally, that backlog is cleared before you have opportunities for citizenship. That is a reasonable approach, and one that will ultimately address the biggest problem for American workers, and that is the depressive effect of undocumented workers who aren't right now subject to oftentimes minimum wage laws or worker safety laws or all the other things that make them cheaper.
Absolutely.
What Tamika Mallory talk about the wall is stupid.
It's ignorance. What she's talking about is pure ignorance, man.
Pathways to citizenship for 11 million. What's going on here?
Remember now, Tamika Mallory is the same person who tried to team up with a bunch of white women, and they ultimately turned against her, right? People, even though people were trying to warn her about trying to team up with all of these white women. People were trying to warn her about that. Like, hey, listen, they have a history of turning on people. You shouldn't, that ain't really that's not that deal. I don't see why you're teaming up with them. Oh, we're trying to do this coalition, this cross coalition, intersectional, blah, 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 right? Okay. So when it came to it and they wanted her to denounce Minister Farrakhan and she wouldn't do it, them women turned on her, just as everybody said was going to happen.
That's right.
So she has bad judgment, right? We already know that. We already know that just from the past. She's bad judgment. So the stuff that she's talking about is ignorance. It's like I said, you can't tell somebody that they can't secure their home or that the doors to their house are stupid doors. Those are some stupid doors you put up on. Like, why are you putting up doors on your house? I wonder, do she lock her doors to the house that she lives in?
Of course.
If she have doors, do you have doors? Do you lock them? If so, why? Why do you do something like that?
On her key fob to her Cadillac that she got a couple years ago. I want to read something, Ali, because this is coming from the book The Devil You Know. Sheesh. I got to get this green screen thing figured out. There we go. And Charles Blow is an uber liberal. So I'm not going to read the part that I'm going to read in relation to tonight's topic, but I am going to read a part based on what we're speaking about with Tamika Mallory coming from Charles Blow, an uber liberal. And it gets no more liberal than Charles Blow. And he says this on page 116 and 117 of his book. He says, and I fear that Black activism is creeping towards its own form of elitism. You think of the Roland Martins, you think of the D.L. Hugleys, you think of all of these different entertainers that pretend like they're activists. You think about Tamika Mallory herself. She went into someone's own hometown and basically told them to shut the hell up. There ain't nothing happening to her or something to that effect, right? They've developed this elitist attitude about how they go about doing their supposed work and how they see our people. So I'm going to start that over. And I fear that Black activism is creeping toward its own form of elitism, a way of a building strata and hierarchy of the supposedly woke over the supposedly asleep. Roland Martin always calling us stupid asses. Monique Presley online dissing people, like they don't know what they're talking about. And, all of this looking down, all of this shaming, the Simone Sanders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Too many of our most lauded thinkers, most in the North and West, have rendered beautiful mediations and delivered blistering orations on the subject of Black liberation. But in the end, many succumb to a certain monotony of urbanity and arrogance. We spoke about Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore earlier. We can put them in this category as well. A plaintive howling into the wind, the building of a case without action, the diagramming of a problem without a solution. Much of it amounts to sullenness wrapped in sophistry. Activism becomes an exercise in credentialing a way of positioning our pursuit of power. I call those people the buffer class all the time. These missives often represent as desperate longings by the authors to be anointed by white liberals and the white academy. Think of Joy Reid on MSNBC. Collectives that address Blackness from a clinical distance, turning Black struggle into anthropology and Black pain into pedagogy. Think of what's her name, Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court, making very, very bad arguments about Blackness in the affirmative action case, while still using our history to make arguments. It seems to me, on the racial question, the white liberal has a nearly insatiable hunger for guilt-laden self-flagellation. In the same way, the white conservative has a thirst for absolution from legacy guilt and affirmation of current contempt. The white conservative, they want to erase the whole history of slavery and try to sanitize their quote-unquote race from their atrocious actions against our people and
Absolutely.
to the current day wealth gap. He says the markets to appease both are robust. There's bags on both sides, Ali. But Black colonization of the South isn't a philosophy or an intellectual posture. It's an actual plan. And I want to speak to that before we get into the next part of it, because it's all relative. It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
That last part, Black colonization of the South isn't a philosophy or an intellectual posture. It's an actual plan. So one of the things that Charles Blow did recently, a few months back, his documentary came out based on this book, The Devil You Know. And the tone that he takes in this book is not the tone of that documentary. I believe it dropped on HBO or maybe Showtime. It's not the same tone. That tone is painted in rainbow colors and it's democratic. It is not based upon the things that he says in his book. Why? Because there's a movement that has taken this work, what we can call 99% neutral. Excuse me. There's a movement that has taken this work and has formed a working theology out of it. Insofar as when we hear a lot of the advocates for this reparationist movement speak, this new burgeoning political movement, what I call the baby eagles, they hear, and people like him hear the talking points. And they hear us saying that consolidation of our numbers in the South will give us a certain power. A certain woman that we keep speaking of, she spoke against this plan, all because Blow said it, and equally so because we interviewed him, knowing that it makes all the sense in the world. And he went and did that video in the same way I look at what those Black CLBC caucus members did. Am I saying that right? CLBC or CBLC?
The California Legislative Black Caucus
did in California. It was good, right? It was performative to a degree, but when the time came for it, we're going to mess this thing up. And that's what Charles Blow intended to do with that idea, so that people like us wouldn't take it and make it a reality. But that stuff that he did is not going to make it a reality. There are people that are listening more to what we have to say than what he has to say. What do you say to that aspect, Brother Ali?
Not much. I think that, when you look at, and we've spoken to this before, he spoke to it in his book. When you look at the trends of the back migration to the South, that has been the case for the last 50, 60 years. People returning back to the southern states of origin of their families. And so you could try to, switch it up now, but it doesn't matter. The message is already out there. The message is already out there. And I don't know what kind of spin, because I didn't see the documentary or whatever that he did, but I remember what was said when he was on our program.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what was important.
We could play it too. I got that clip queued up whenever we need. But I want to read this next part because this speaks to the topic that we're speaking about. And the fact that this man wrote this in his book was a telltale sign that he was trying to have some neutrality in his stance. He was trying to have some neutrality in his stance. So let me see. Where do I want to start from? I'm gonna start from here. This is from page 55 of the book, The Devil You Know. Get a little pedantic on tonight's live stream. That's a big word I learned in a debate I had some years ago. Pedantic. We're gonna get pedantic tonight. All right, so this is from page 55. He says density and state control could also shift the dynamics of our two-party political system and adjust how those parties relate to Black people. So, we start to get this thing where he knows his own words, which is why I believe he did that documentary in the way that he did it. He painted it in the colors of the rainbow, if you understand what I mean, in liberalism, as opposed to keeping with the neutral stance that he uses and takes in this book. Because he calls this a Black Power manifesto. Oh, my green screen thing is crazy. I can't, y'all can't see it. Let me finish reading. This proposal is not an endorsement of the Democratic Party or progressivism or liberalism per se. And that's interesting because in that documentary, that's what he tried to do. He implied visually that is what he was standing on: progressivism, liberalism, and making it this Democratic Party thing. Because if my memory serves me correctly, he didn't speak to any Black conservatives or Black Republicans at all about this plan. And he may have, but I would have remembered that. Let's finish reading. He says, although I consider myself staunchly liberal, that you are, brother, particularly on social issues, most Black people are not as liberal on those issues. So we have an admission here that our people are not what the Democratic Party paints us to be. And this is why when I'm going at the white supremacists or the wannabe white supremacists online that talk about reparations being this Democratic Party thing, I'm like, what are y'all watching or listening to? I see it's too much Fox News and right-wing media, because what you don't know and understand is that the Democratic Party doesn't support reparations at all. They wish the matter goes away. And we just got the biggest of highlights in California over the past couple of days. So, I mean, anyway, it is true that a 2019 Gallup survey found that, quote, aside from Democrats, only two groups show strong liberal tendencies: adults with postgraduate education, 15 points more liberal than conservative, and blacks 9 points more liberal. And most blacks identify as Democrats. But on many social issues like same-sex marriage, the views of black people are closer to those of Republicans. See, this is the problem, Ali, with having your talking heads pretending like they speak for the rest of us. Charles Blow is giving us a true accounting in this book. And this is why in the streets of America, the hoods of America, where American freedmen are, where they are taking surveys, who would you vote for, Trump or Kamala? The people, Ali, they're saying Trump. Every video I've seen from the hood is predominantly Trump.
Right.
It continues. While my own beliefs are liberal, my Southern migration proposition is an advocation of black self-determination in America, whatever form it should take. Black people in general haven't been Democrats by nature, but by necessity. This is Charles Blow, the liberal, the Democrat, staunchly liberal, he calls himself. They haven't been as socially progressive as the rest of the party, but they absolutely abhor the Republican abidance of racism. That's a fact. We know that to be a fact, right? That's why they ask, how can you vote for Trump for those people that's voting for Trump? Because they assume that we're voting for Trump. And we're going to speak to some of that in a few as well. It says, even among millennials who, regardless of race, are more liberal than their elders, black millennials are significantly more religious than non-black millennials. And religiosity informs opinions on social issues. There's a video that's going viral of a pastor of a Freedman church, a Freedman pastor, and he's speaking to this fact. Ali, you know, it's a bunch more that I could read from these next 2 pages, but I'm gonna leave it there for the sake of. But the liberal pastor was saying there's no way I can vote for Kamala Harris. There's no way that I can, this black pastor, excuse me, not liberal, this black pastor, this Freedman pastor, saying there's no way I can vote for Kamala Harris and what her party represents. I'm Christian.
Right.
And things that this party represents, the things that Van Jones calls fun, are against the fundamental Christian values, one, and values of the average everyday American freedman. People are, they live their lives. We grew up around all type of people. I wish you would come in my hood, or I seen you somewhere messing with somebody from my hood because they was gay or lesbian. You would have caught these hands. Not, you know, because, you know, I feel sorry for them because they are gay. I said, no, because they from my hood. And you won't mess with nobody from my hood. We ain't trying to hear that. But what the liberals and the Democrats are doing is something else. And that's what's being spoken to. And that's what Charles Blow is speaking to in his own book, him being a staunch liberal. What are your thoughts and take on that, Ali?
Yeah, absolutely. To the point you was making about folks that grew up in the hood with us that were gay, you know, we didn't have a problem with them. Like, you know, people think that blacks are inherently homophobic, right? Or the freedmen are homophobic, but the truth of the matter is we're not homophobic. We don't agree. A lot of us don't agree with homosexuality for reasons that really are of nature. It has more to do with nature than anything, more than religious, right? It's really outside. You know, I don't even use religion when I'm talking to people about my issues or my positions pertaining to homosexuality. I use nature. I always talk about it from the perspective of nature, from the perspective of our duty as human beings to continue the cycle of life through procreation, right? So I always talk about it from that perspective. It's like, listen, it just goes against nature. It's not normal, right? Obviously, it's not normal because it doesn't work in the way of the procreation of life. So it's not normal. It's outside of what is considered normal in terms of continuing life. But at the same time, I don't know anybody who's attacked any homosexuals physically, on some bullshit, like just like, you know, the way stuff happens sometimes, homosexuals will get attacked. I don't know anybody that does that. Now, what I think does happen sometimes is certain transsexuals, not regular gay guys, but I think certain transsexuals might be getting attacked because what they're doing is trying to fool people, right, into thinking that there's something that they're not. So if a transsexual person who looks really convincingly like a woman gets with a straight man without telling that man that he's a transsexual, and this man thinks that he's getting with a straight woman, a normal woman, and starts to making out with her, with him, all of this kind of stuff like that, and start to try to get into the act and realize that this person is not biologically a woman, then you're opening yourself up for physical assault in an instance like that. Because what you're doing and what they don't realize by doing that is they're actually violating the other person. They think they're the ones being violated. But the truth of the matter is you're violating the other person because, number one, you're lying to them from the gate. If this is what's happening, you're lying to them about who you actually are and trying to reel them in so that they can become hooked on you as an individual and be willing to then engage in homosexual activity, even though they're actually straight people. And once you do that, especially if you start to kissing with some other man and stuff like that, that to a lot of men is disgusting, right? And so you violated him and his principles as a normal man who's looking for a woman to mate with. So in that instance, if violence occurs, then that happens because you put yourself in it and you actually provoked that violence. Nevertheless, I don't know anybody that went around attacking homosexuals on some random stuff. I don't. I've never seen it. I've heard reports about it happening, but I've never seen it. And a lot of the times when I see it on the news happening, it's not us doing it. They'll show stuff like in New York City, they'll show a homosexuals attacked down in the village or something, right? And it'd be like white people or Hispanics or whatever who are attacking these people. It's not us doing that. So we're not homophobic. And the fact of the matter is, like you said, there were homosexuals who grew up in the hood with us in the projects. I grew up in Manhattanville projects. There was a guy in the building that was next to my building where my cousins and them lived in the next building over. There was a guy in that building that everybody knew he was gay, right? But nobody treated him different. Nobody did anything disrespectful to him. He was a part of the Manhattanville, family, if you will. You know what I mean? It wasn't, nothing like that. So I don't know if I answered what you was asking, but that's what came to mind.
Definitely. And I just want to take a brief break because I want to show and I want people to support and be sure to visit the website, bethepower.org. We have a page called Men at the Head, but check out the website first and foremost. Sign up. Let me see. Am I sharing it? Okay, yeah. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. This is our political platform, family. We've been trying to grow it for years, and we've been growing it. I don't want to say try. We've been growing our platform for years. It's people that know BTP. People know BTP. And we're genuine and we're real. And I think a lot of people know that. And, they just, it's just this thing that some people have with other people. I don't know if it's just natural jealousies, et cetera, but it's time to put all of that childish, immature stuff away. It's time for us to become the power. It is time for us to take a place in the affairs of men. And, we at Be the Power are attempting to do that. We have a page, register to vote. Like we have a link at the bottom of this page that you could click on. It takes you to another page an official page, obviously, but it tabulates how many people have come or, came through Be the Power. Clicked on the link to go to this website to actually fill out the form. So y'all make sure y'all do that. I'm gonna put that link in the chat as well. And our other page, of course, check out the About Us page and what we're doing. We're talking about our movement and what we're about. But our Minute Ahead page is important. This is an important page because we need for our men to become more active in leadership in political decisions, right? And I'll read this part. The shaming of men. Over the past decade, we've witnessed a rise in rhetoric that often, let me see if I can blow this up some. Let's blow it up some. Over the past decade, we've witnessed a rise in rhetoric that often casts men, particularly black men, as the villains in a story that demands them to be silent supporters rather than active leaders. Remember, Ice Cube was told to get in back of the line by the BLM woman when Roland Martin brought her on to ambush Ice Cube. This narrative has been perpetuated not just by political pundits, but by entertainers and social media influencers who have a broad reach and significant impact. The result? Men feel alienated, shamed for their views, and are now finding it increasingly difficult to reconcile their personal beliefs with the party that no longer seems to reflect their values. Black women who have been rightly celebrated for their political engagement and leadership are often at the forefront of these discussions. However, in some circles, this leadership has morphed into rhetoric that implicitly or explicitly shames men for not aligning with certain political ideologies or candidates that represent those ideologies. This has led to a growing divide, with men feeling sidelined in discussions where they once felt they had a seat at the table. So, this whole page, man, is deep. We have a donate button on there for those of you that would like to support this initiative. I have flyers that I hand out to the brothers when I meet them in the streets. And if you would like to assist in that effort and help us lead in that initiative, click on the link. It's time for the men to step up. It's time for the men to get and gain their leadership role back. Our men, our freedmen men, to gain our leadership role back in this society. Let me see. Britt B says, if you want to save America, you'll vote for Trump 2024. Okay, that's funny. And the reason why I read that, because Fanatic, this is brother that we interact with on the spaces, he pretends like he's not a Democrat and liberal, but he is. I don't know why people can't just say what they are with their chest. I'm a Reconstruction Republican. What does that mean?
Right.
I rock with what Frederick Douglass had to say, and Joseph Rainey, and Robert Smalls, and Moses Dixon. Right? I'm one of them type of Hiram Revels type of Republican, a pinchback out of Louisiana type of Republican. I'm a throwback Republican. So that's what, and I stand on that. I stand on that with my full chest. So Fanatic's response was, come on, Britt B. They want to destroy black people faster than the Democrats, who also want to destroy us. Why would we vote Republican? Now, what's the line?
Said faster? Let me tell you something. Republicans have a lot of rhetoric. They talk a lot of shit, right? At worst, what did they do? Pass some abortion law that makes it a little bit, what puts abortion into the hands of the states, as opposed to, so what are you talking about? They want to destroy black people. So they got rhetoric. So there's stuff in Project 2025 that talks about the removal of certain types of civil rights, things of that nature, stuff that ain't gonna ever happen. It's like the Republicans always talking about doing away with Social Security and all this other shit, right? They talk certain things. They'll run around with Confederate flags and shit like that, right? And in January 6th, they went down to the Capitol. The Confederate element of the party went down to the Capitol and tried to overthrow the election results. At the same time, you're a registered member of a party who is actively undermining you through LGBT agendas being pushed at your children, through immigration policy that is ill affecting not just our families, but the entire country. You understand what I'm saying? They want to give people who are not citizens of this country, who have no vested interest in this country whatsoever, the way you do generationally. They want to give those people the right to vote so that they can nullify the effectiveness of your vote. They want to be able to replace you with other niggas that don't have the chip on their shoulder that you got, who they don't owe a debt to the way they owe to your family. They're actively doing this stuff to you right now while you're talking about the rhetoric of the Republican Party. It's kind of crazy to me, man.
So he's fronting, right? Let me pull his comment up. All right, so wait, let me pull this one up. And Fanatic, you know you ain't go nowhere. He says, so I'm pretending not to be a Democrat by saying Democrats want to destroy us. And then his second comment was, yeah, I'm about to leave. I am not a registered Democrat and have never voted Democrat in my life. Y'all are liars. Take care.
Yeah, see? You see what I'm saying? It's just like when you call somebody a liberal, right? You call a dude, huh?
Jabari. Remember I called him a
They get mad. They get mad because they know intuitively, they know that party is so enmeshed with LGBTism that when you call them liberal, they almost feel like you calling them some kind of other kind of name. Like you trying to call me a homo by calling me a liberal, right? You see what I'm saying? So they get upset about that because they know deep down inside that this party is the party of people who don't know what a woman is anymore, right? They don't even know you got a Supreme Court justice who was put there and was asked the question of what is a woman, and she couldn't even answer it. A Supreme Court justice couldn't answer the question of what is a woman. This is what this party is producing. And you're trying to act like this is okay. And as a Christian, even if, let's just say that you're not a registered Democrat like you're saying, which I don't believe. As a Christian, this stuff doesn't line up with your Christian principles. It doesn't line up with the values that's coming from your Bible.
What is it? Leviticus 20:13?
Yeah. Yeah, it does, like come on, man. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. But I want to go back to his comment real quick, because this is the gaslighting that we see all the time. And a lot of these guys know, they get certain arguments off with certain people in the Twitter sphere, but they don't get those arguments off with us at all. So a lot of the times they just stay out of our spaces. He says they want to destroy black people faster than the Democrats, who also want to destroy us. Why would we vote Republican? And now, instead of ending that sentence with, why would we vote for either party? We should start our own party. Or let's not vote at all. Let's leave the system, right? That makes more sense than what he said. They want to destroy black people faster than the Democrats, but he made no case against anybody that wants to vote Democrat. And that's just what it is. He made no case against those people. And that's why I called him a Democrat. Yo, wear that shit, fam.
He's a Democrat. And if not, he's a liberal, right? The fact of the matter is they don't want to admit this shit. They don't want to admit it because they know that this party is it has become what it's become. They don't want to acknowledge the shit. And because of the Confederate element in the Republican Party, they're afraid of the Republicans. So it's like Blow says, it's the devil that you know. It's the devil that you know. And they've become comfortable and accustomed with the devil on the left. But the fact of the matter is the infrastructure of the Republican Party. That's something that we helped to build. Our ancestors helped to build that. That's our party. All of those Confederates that are in that party, they don't need to be there. They shouldn't be there. They're not really Republicans. They're actually Confederates. Confederates are not Republicans. They have hijacked the Republican Party. That's the point of this whole thing. They hijacked the Republican Party. That infrastructure belongs to us. That's something that we should be using. We should not be trying to start over from scratch, creating no brand new parties. We shouldn't be the ones having to start with no independent party or nothing like no. That party is the party that our ancestors helped to build up. I say all the time that my father was a registered Republican his whole life. I mean, the whole time that he was able to register as a voter. He was a registered Republican. And that's because his people before him were registered Republicans. Has nothing to do with aligning with white supremacists or any of that stuff. Those people came into that party. You got to do the history. Who were the radical Republicans and what did they do in the way of emancipation for our people? Who were they? So that's what we need. We need radical republicanism at this point. This democratic, liberal, LGBT, intersectional, whatever it is, immigration, fast tracking, immigration for illegal aliens, as if there's not already a pathway to citizenship in this country. There's already a pathway to citizenship in this country. But what they're talking about doing is skirting that process and creating some other unconstitutional shit so that these illegal people can come in and replace you as voters immediately. We got to do this stuff quick because we see the natives are getting restless here. The natives are getting restless. So we need to hurry up and fast track all of these illegals into the system with the hopes that they're going to vote Democrat once we register them, even though they don't have a track record of being real Democratic supporters once they get here. Anyway, go ahead, man. My bad.
Wake it up. Wake it up, my bro. Yo, check it out, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit the share button. We got 317 people watching. Most of y'all are watching from Twitter. Come on over to the Be the Power channel. Click like, share the videos. Come show us some love. Support the channel. You see the Cash App right there. $ Be the Power. Visit our websites, usadof.org. Visit our websites, bethepower.org. It's time to go, man. It's time for us to get busy. It's time for us to step up. And when we say minute ahead, I want to be clear. We're not excluding our sisters. We're saying that it's time for the man to take his position back as the leader. And our women are supposed to be walking on the side of us. We shouldn't let nobody put nobody else in front of our men because they don't do that in no other culture and with no other people. Point blank, period. So make sure y'all go to bethepower.org/math. Men at the head. We are stepping up. We're not having this anymore, family. We're not having it anymore. Josh, Ibrahim, what's going on? We got the pros on tonight, man. We got the fam in the building. We got our people in the chat. I just want to give a quick shout out to the mods and you know all of the supporters of the Be the Power channel and those in the broader reparationist movement. You know, it's been issues in this movement, of course, that happens. And we spoke to ADOS earlier. This is for Josh and Ibrahim. We opened the show addressing ADOS. He had a picture of me and Logic in his video, you know, taking a little shot, talking about we were fans of the show or implying that we were fans of his show. And one of the things that we did was we showed that he was sharing clips from Be the Power. So if we were fans, then you were a fan too. He's a fan. He's a fan. He's a fan. Like, stop playing with us, man. Y'all know we ain't coming up under nobody. We came in as we are. So, yo, brother Josh, what's going on, man? What you've heard so far? What do you want to add to the topic? You know, is it time to vote Republican, man?
Well, let me tell you something. After what I saw in California this past weekend, let me just tell you what I've been at. I've been at where I've been is looking at Democrats and how they've been doing And it's something that we really need to go through, and it's something I wanna add to the conversation that I don't think we got a chance to walk through. So I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna pass to Ibrahim, and then I want you to bring me back because I wanna go into the immigration piece, and I want to make y'all aware of something that's going on because I think the public has really been made um, this thing how it's operating is really obscured from the public view, and we don't really understand. Like we talk about it, you hear like a overview, or you hear like a just a general range of talking points, but the details, when you hear about the details, you be like, what? It's unbelievable what's happening. And they don't really get into that. Probably the president, and the the former president, as they're talking about it, and the vice president, maybe they don't want to get into the details because they don't want to get jammed up in not knowing something, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, when the public understands the details and learns about the details, you'll be outraged. You'll be outraged, and I don't care what your party leaning is. There's no way you can hear about what's going on and not be outraged. But when I heard that, when I saw what happened in California, that was probably the first time, this whole time, when I was like, you know what? If I were to do, if I were to answer that question, yes, the question of this stream, yes, I wouldn't feel bad about whatever happens after that because there has to be some type of, I feel like there has to be some type of consequence instituted. And I don't know if that's the consequence or not, but something has to be done. Because you cannot openly just send us that message. The message they sent in California was not just a message to Californians, because that was a message from an individual, their governor, who has aspirations to be a president. That was a message from other people high up in the party that would likely pass legislation or be in a position to pass or not vote on legislation if it's brought up, right? The national legislation that we are actually advocating for, they will be the ones that would likely either vote on it or not vote on it. And if you think about, if California, who can green light any so-called liberal or progressive policy or legislation, they can green light that, and there's no problem. There's no fear of opposition from conservatives or Republicans, right? If they won't do it, then how in the world do you think that a country, U.S. Congress that has way more obstacles, way more parity there. There's way more a balance of conservative versus liberal views there. That's not that. What they're saying is, you can forget about it, right? If California will bring this up and then kill it themselves and block it themselves, that's really indicative. So I'm gonna pass it to Ibrahim, but then I want to come back and I'm gonna get into something that was really eye opening for me.
Yeah.
Well,
Ibrahim,
you know what they say.
hold on. Is my mic too loud? I sound loud as hell.
Nah, you good.
You're okay.
Why do I sound so loud? I made an adjustment, and now I hear myself extra loud. I'm still working on this.
It sounds good though on this side.
Okay.
That's probably just you and your headphones.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
But you know what they say? They say as goes California, goes the nation. And I guess California is letting you know where the DNC is headed. This is, to me, this isn't coincidence. Kamala Harris spoke about a bunch of ambiguous stuff during the DNC. And during her CNN interview, she only honed in when it came to the support of Israel. Everything else was ambiguous. She just put out, did y'all see that her economic, you can't even call it a plan.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I seen. I mean, we did a breakdown on the first iteration that she put out outside of the what was that gains, some type of gains. I don't pretend like I know everything, so I didn't really fully understand the arguments for or against what they were saying. But I seen more people arguing against uh this gains thing. I'll pull it up. Go ahead, Ibrahim. I think Ibrahim got connected. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good.
No,
Yeah.
I'm still here. I just dropped it in the inbox so you could just see what I'm talking about. Right.
Oh, the opportunity economy.
an opportunity economy. And it's so broad when you pull it up. And she's just talking about in this piece, she's just talking about small business.
Yeah, your mic your mic keeps cutting out, Ibrahim.
Okay, okay. Every time I shift, you'll just have to read it. But the point I'm trying to make is that economies doesn't run off people creating small businesses. This isn't the early 1800s. This is not how America is organized anymore, right? Is America is organized from top to bottom, right? With the government being the highest entity at the top, helping everybody else's out. This idea that we're going to stimulate the economy by stimulating small business owners, and people must understand when they say small business owner, a small business owner is anybody with less than 500 employees, right? So you'll have some multi-million-dollar companies that still qualify as small business owner. I remember during the hurricane, the last major hurricane in Louisiana, I was running some fuel back and forth from Houston to Louisiana to power their generators because they didn't have power on in the city. And it was this huge company called Sunbelt. And Sunbelt is ran by this white lady who was like a poker player. And I guess her husband was like some multi-millionaire, almost a billionaire, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, one of the plaques on their wall was largest minority owned company. And it was also a small business. And these people had hundreds of millions of dollars, right, invested into their company. So when you look at small businesses, you got to think about places like this, places like Calf Tech, multi-million-dollar companies that have less than 500 employees, right? But they might have millions of dollars worth of asset and do like business on the large scale. They just not Walmart or Amazon because of the numbers of employees. But anyway, this is just more, when Kamala says we're not going back, a lot of people took that in as we're not going back to 2017 to 2018 to 2019, right? We're not going back to the times of Trump. Then after that, and you probably already spoke about this, Naheem, after that, Van Jones gets on this and says, Kamala is moving us into the future, and the DNC party is, and I'm paraphrasing, but the DNC party is going into the future, and we're not dealing with justice, right? We're not dealing with police brutality no more. You seen she had about at least 6 police officers that came and spoke at the at her crowning for the DNC nominee, right? At least, and one of the police officers said, under Kamala, we've gotten the most money we've ever gotten. So this whole idea about defund the police, we're not going back to none of that rhetoric, even though it was just talk. And another thing they said, Van Jones said specifically, is like reparations is a thing of the past. Everybody knows, at one point the grassroots blew this reparations conversation up so much that in the last presidential election, especially in the Democratic primaries, that everybody was being asked the question, what about reparations for African Americans, or however they was putting it, but pretty much, what about reparations for American freedmen, right? Every candidate was being asked that, from Biden, who ended up becoming president, to Buttigieg, Harris, Tulsi Gabbard, everybody who was on stage was being asked that, right? And now what you see from the debate with Trump and Biden, from the language at the DNC convention, they're not even speaking on reparations no more. And Van Jones saying we're not going past that, let me know there's a lot of issues that the Democratic Party has moved past. But if you could like sum it all up, they've moved past our issues, the American freedmen issues. So when you say vote Republican, you know, I've always pushed that we've had a nice stake in each party, right? Whether that be libertarian, independent, socialists, Democrats, and Republican, and not just be heavy on the left. But the fact that they're moving past us kind of lets us know that, you know, we think we're the backbone of the party. Another thing that was mentioned at the DNC convention was how many new Asian immigrants was registered to vote in this election, and how many new Latino immigrants was registered to vote in this election, right? So like this whole idea that it's still 1980 or 1990, no, like they've kind of moved past our issues. They just haven't moved past us as being the biggest demographic in their voter base. But as far as their issues, they've moved past it. And this is what's so frightening when we have these conversations on Twitter, because I'm talking to Black women who say they support Kamala Harris because she's a Black woman, but then Kamala Harris doesn't have any substantive policies for Black women. She's not dealing with Black women evictions rate. She's not dealing with homelessness. She's not dealing with debt. She's not dealing with Black women maternal morbidity, right? So it's like, what are we still doing here at mass? Now, I understand you need a nice sample to be representative on the left, and we should continue to be on the left, 30, 35, maybe 40% to continue to push our issues. But you also need an influx in these other parties, and one of these parties being the Republican Party. And if, you know, if I was being like extremely honest, I would say this: there's a podcaster who's, you know, been like really analyzing Kamala Harris's campaign, and she does a really good job at this and breaking down the lies and the flaws and just a lot of the gaps in how Kamala Harris is trying to like basically lie to the public and change herself, right, from her 2019 stance, from her 2020 stance, until like this new Kamala Harris that's going to be everything for everybody. But the point is, you know, I listened to this lady and I like the stuff this lady had to say, but in the back of my mind, I kind of dismissed her, right? I kind of dismissed her the same way people dismiss us. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Which lady you talking about?
Sabby Sab, I think that's her name.
Okay.
And I kind of dismissed her for the same reason people kind of dismiss us. And when I thought about it, I said, you know, this is hypocritical. I dismissed her because I thought she was a Black Republican. So like I kind of listened to her half-assed because like some of her criticism of Harris and Walt's campaign fell on deaf ears. And this is how I came to this realization. When I found out like she's a true independent, kind of leaning towards the Green Party, then I kind of took her messaging with like more validity. And I thought to myself, like, man, that's extremely hypocritical. Because here I am, a person who will say we need more people on the right and we need more people in the middle. But then here comes somebody that I assume may have been on the right. And then I kind of like heard her, you know, haphazardly, you know, kind of like heard half of the stuff and didn't like really take the analysis serious until I found out that she was on the right. So I say this to say, you know, like we have a lot of biases because we've been conditioned a certain way. Right. And even as you try to break out of that, right, like some of that biasness is still stuck in you. So I know people will look at the title of this as controversy, but this isn't a controversy title at all. We need more people on the right. We need more people in the middle. There shouldn't be a political conversation had in America that we are not included in and that we are not pushing what we need for our community. We should be at every conversation when it comes to policy and politics in America. Right? Like this, none of this should be controversial. What should be controversial is that you have a whole DNC convention and none of our issues get mentioned. Right? Not one, not the Sonia case, right? Not police shooting. They talked about
But then they talk
Palestinian.
about abortions.
Yes.
Bodily autonomy.
They didn't just talk about abortions. They had the abortion truck and the vasectomy truck outside
In the
killing
hood.
machine out there in the hood.
So they're not just talking the talk when it comes to, you know, things that they really care about. They're walking the walk. They're going to show you that, you know, we're real about this, even though Kamala even though Kamala has it's funny. It's like, you know, if I can't say her name right, I'm attacking her, I'm disrespecting her, I'm dismissing her in some way. Is it reverse racism or racism, right? But Vivek Ramaswamy ran for president, and we butchered his name because we don't have an Indian tongue either, and this stance never came up. But the whole idea that you can have a whole DNC convention predicated off the backs of this is history, right? We went from slavery to now having the first black woman president. This is the narrative that they were telling. And Hillary Clinton kind of anchored that in when she went up there, because she said, you know, I've been cracking at this ceiling too, and I put a lot of cracks in it, right? Maybe she mean like all of the people who died investigating her, but she's been cracking at this ceiling. And I'm like, this is big, because this is the history of the suffrage movement. And if you want to anchor us in there, it would be like the black feminists like Sojourner Truth and Ida B. Wells, right? Until she got a little bit more enlightenment. But like, they're running this parallel narrative along with American freedmen history and legacy, and they're kind of anchoring themselves in there and saying like, this is the way. We played the video last time we did a show about the woman who went up there and talked about her parents, her ancestors leaving slavery and being the first free people in this city in Iowa. And then she goes to that, to like all of the gay rights and the first trans person to do this, and this trans boy going to prom, right? And you can see like, when Kamala Harris takes on the rallying call of we're not going back, when you add that to what Gavin Newsom does and what's going on in California, and you take Van Jones' messages, man, this is 3 times I didn't heard that. And I think the thing that they're not going back to is listening to our issues. And just because of that, we have to take a stance. And I think the stance in this election is we have to make sure that Kamala doesn't sniff the White House as being president of the United States of America. The only reason she's in the White House right now is because American freedmen women stood up and said, we're going to vote for racist Joe Biden. But if you want us to come and fully support him, you got to give us a black woman VP. They jumped over Stacey Abrams. They jumped over Karen Bass. They jumped over so many qualified American freedmen women and said, here you go right here. She looked black.
They held the brown paper bag up to her. They said, I think she'll do.
You know, so with that being said, even if you're not seriously thinking about,
hold on, Ibrahim. We got you, Rising Phoenix. Don't worry, we got you.
Man, they could have picked Condoleezza Rice.
Man, it's so many qualified black women that they came up with, and you could just see them knocking them down one by one by one. And that final result is Kamala Harris, who gets into the White House. She's supposed to be the border Caesar, right? So many illegals come in. She takes all the credit for what Biden thinks he did right. She takes no responsibility for any of his failures, right? And she's trying to ride this wave into the White House. And if you passed our issues, we got to be past you. I mean, that's just simple. Like, when somebody stops effing with you, you got to stop effing with them, man. We not your do boys. We not your peons. We not your mule, right? We built this country. We've done enough. It's time for us to receive. And if we can't be on the receiving end, man, we can't give you anything else. And I'll just end on this note. It's just sad to see so many black women being taken to the shed, because here you are pledging your allegiance to a party who is ignoring your issues and ignoring the issues of your progeny and ignoring the issues of the men in your community and your fathers and your uncles. And we have to wake up and understand that every other group is meeting with Kamala Walsh and they're asking them, what can you do for us? But somehow a majority of black women and black men is just saying, you know what, you being black is good enough. And this is how you stay a permanent bottom class caste.
Let me, because I'm just dying to address this comment. Phoenix, Rising Phoenix. So, okay, here we go with the attempting to gaslight us. Is this attempting to gaslight us? It's like you learned algebra one day, you didn't learn it correctly, and then you tried to challenge a whole group of mathematicians. Okay, more people on the right. Let's look at the far right project 2025. Force Congress to outlaw teaching racism in history. Page 582. Remove public housing 503. So this person assumes that we've done no looking into Project 2025. Obviously, this person is not familiar with the channel because what was that, two weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we went through Project 2025. And there were things that we agreed with in Project 2025, things that I wouldn't mind adopting with some better language. There were things that we vehemently disagreed with. We thought they were draconian measures. But you're on the left right now, obviously. And what is the far left proposing? What is because the far left this is what the far left is saying right now. This is what the left in general is saying. Let's hear what Van Jones got to say.
Behind her, but she's doing something. She's fixing some problems on the left. This whole thing has been an implicit critique of problems that we've had on the left. The left before we walked in here was about justice, diversity, trigger warnings, reparations for the past, and a bunch of party poopers and scolds. That was the knock on the left. We have gone from talking about justice, which is wonderful, but now it's about freedom. It's not just about diversity, it's about patriotism. It's not just about trigger warnings. In fact, that's gone. It's tough, tough, tough. Reparations for the past? No. Fight for the future. Party poopers? No. We legalize fun. We legalize fun. We put the party back in the Democratic Party. And so this is
that's what the left
dude
is
said. Justice is, he did that. Justice, yeah, that's all right. All that talk about justice and shit. That's all right.
Man, Van Jones is talking like it's 1999. We put the party back in Democratic Party. Man, people out here struggling through inflation. You partying because Bezos gave you $100 million. But before you get started, Naheem, I just want to say this. If the right wants to do Project 2025 and they're in alignment with that, why does Kamala Harris want to put a Republican in her cabinet?
Because she was asked that question. She was asked that question. Oh, I'll hit the roof. I'm still learning my buttons, y'all. I'm still learning my buttons. Why would she want to put a Republican in the cabinet? That's a fact. Why? Why is that? It makes no sense.
Hey, yo, that's the same thing Abraham Lincoln did with that's the same thing Abraham Lincoln did with Andrew Johnson.
That's
Look
right.
what happened.
That's right. So I want to, you're not going to gaslight us with Project 2025, right? Number one, if you're assuming that we're Trump supporters and that we're going to vote for Trump, you're assuming wrong, right? Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that you're assuming wrong. I'm not going to speak for everybody on this platform, but we can tell that that's your assumption. And we know that this party, as Ali so eloquently broke down earlier, was our party. We started the foundation of this party. the people that wave Confederate flags, they're of the Democratic Party. I read from Charles Blow's book, an uber liberal, about party realignment. And what that man said, and you know what, just a part of that bears repeating, because I think, we need to understand what let me read this part again, where he says, most black people are not as liberal on those issues, the issues that he's liberal on. He says, it is true that a 2019 Gallup survey found that aside from Democrats, only two groups show, and he gives his brace there. He says that most blacks identify as Democrats, but on many social issues like same-sex marriage, the views of black people are closer to those of Republicans. While my own beliefs are liberal, my Southern migration proposition is an avocation of black self-determination, yada, yada, yada. Black people in general haven't been Democrats by nature, but necessity. They haven't been as socially progressive as the rest of the party, but they absolutely abhor the Republican abidance of racism. So this idea that we're just Democrats is a slap in the face of our positions historically as a people. And to think that you can say that, the right is going to propose Project 2025. I mean, many of these policies we've been hearing for decades. We've been hearing this stuff for decades. They're going to abolish the Board of Education. They're going to get rid of Social Security. I don't know if that's even in Project 2025. But we went through some of the stuff, especially the things that directly was pertaining to us and those things that we felt could, pertain to us. And we pointed out that there were some things that we felt were good in that manifesto, and the rest of it we thought was bad. So you can't scare us with Project 2025. Not over here.
Project 2025 will not replace the U.S. Constitution.
That's a
But
fact.
I would like to ask him, if you're so worried about Project 2025, is the way America is currently being structured and ran by the Biden Harris ticket, is this better? And where is Kamala Harris's project, whatever agenda, whatever, to combat Project 2025?
That's right. That's right.
Oh
Josh.
yeah, I got the Project 2025 right here. Excuse me, I got the Project 2024, 25, 23. I'm about to show y'all real quick.
Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. We got 405 people watching live. Most of y'all are on Twitter. Come on over to the Be the Power YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button. Show us some love. Come rock out with us. Come rock out with us, because we represent a movement. And yes, we're fighting for justice for our people. And that's what reparations is. Reparations is about justice. And we are politically versed on some things. We don't pretend to be know-it-alls, but we move by a strict and rigorous methodology, and we're able to apply that to anything. And we've applied that to this field of politics. So, we just, let me move this banner too, Josh. Blow it up some as well, so the people can see it. Okay, it looks a little bit better. But yeah, go ahead, bro.
Let me go and get it. I can get it bigger than that. All right. Is that better?
Yep, much better.
All right, cool. So look, this is what I was talking about earlier. When I was talking about, if you really understood what this border policy was,
I posted that earlier. That same article.
You would be pissed off. I mean, if you actually read this article and you understand what's going on, and you break this down to some of the most vote blue no matter who people, I promise you, even those people will be like, oh, hell no. But let me read it. Okay, so it says, because see, the argument that the Democrats are using to avoid having to take accountability for their border policy is, oh, Trump, he killed the border security deal. Well, hold up. First off, what public office does Trump hold? I'm just wondering. Can y'all
None.
tell me what? Okay, so how
Trump,
did he
Trump
kill the
holds
bill?
no office.
So how does he have? So what they're saying is
They're
Trump
trying
out
to
of
say,
office has more power than U.S.
right.
Congress and the president.
Yes, that's what they're trying to say. That Trump, as a civilian, has more power than the United States Congress and the sitting president and vice president. That's exactly what they're saying.
Hmm.
He
Yeah, that
he did all this while fighting charges for the last year and a half.
While fighting charges, all that, Ibrahim. Yeah, man. That's a powerful dude right there.
and we know that that's some bull. That's malarkey. That's if you believe that, like they say, I got some beachfront property in Nebraska to sell you. So the real deal is they need to take accountability, and we are exposing the agenda of what do I call it? Um, Not replacement, but what is it?
Replacer.
Yeah, replacement, which is erasure
Place.
and replacement. Um, so this is the agenda of a replacement right here. Let's read it. This is project 20. When you get in office, 2021. This
Yep,
was
he took
project
off
2021,
2021.
22, 23, 24.
That's right.
Right here.
Right before Russia invaded Ukraine and our gas prices went all the way up.
President Joe Biden and multiple news sources have blamed the failure of the Senate's recent border bill on Republicans' desire to keep the border crisis in the news, or some say simply because they were instructed by former president and now presidential candidate Donald Trump to do so. And by the way, before I even get started on that again, I don't care what y'all say about this particular source. Uh, prove it wrong. I don't care. Like, I'm looking for information, and this source provides information. I haven't seen a better source to provide
Well,
information
let
than
me
this.
just
Yeah.
add, Josh. I've seen mainstream media articles that confirm this source right here, so they
Right.
can say what they want. And if we want, we could just pull up another one if they have a problem with any source.
Yeah. And
And make
y'all
sure I
not
put
gonna.
the link in the chat too, so the people
Yeah.
can,
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna do that. Let me just put that real quick.
doing that. Ross said Alexa is biased too. So there's a thread on
It
Twitter.
is. It is
Said,
biased.
should we vote for Trump? Or should I vote for Trump? And Alexa says, I'm sorry, I cannot help with things of politics, yada, yada, yada. Then they ask, should I vote for Kamala Harris? They said yes. Oh, no, give me a reason why I should vote. And it's like, yes, you should vote for Kamala Harris because blah, blah, blah. I was like, yo.
Ran
That,
down a list of things. Yeah, man, that shit crazy.
I thought
Yep.
it was fake at first. I thought it was edited, and then a whole bunch of people jumped on the thread. It was like, no, this is real. Look, and recorded themselves asking the same question. I'm like, wow. So I don't know if Amazon has made an adjustment to that, but
They put out a statement, I think, about it, saying that there was some kind of error in the system or some shit. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny, because Zuckerberg also came out and told on the DNC about ways that they restricted him for giving out information with his Facebook platform. Well, I'm telling you, them undemocrats is something else.
So it says, I cannot tell you what former President Donald Trump has or has not said to congressional Republicans on this issue. What I can tell you, however, is that the Senate bill would have done little to improve border security or reduce illegal immigration into the United States. There's good reason to believe even that it would have increased illegal immigration across the southern border. The most important point to understand is that the Senate bill did not even attempt to address the known pull factors for illegal immigration across the southern border. These pull factors include principally the near guarantee of release into the United States after apprehension by a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officer. Migrants can expect a near guarantee of release for a few reasons. Primarily, an almost 30-year-old court settlement prohibits the U.S. Department of Homeland Security from detaining migrants who arrive to the United States with the child or as a family unit for more than 20 days. Peep that.
That's crazy.
At the time of the settlement, at the time the settlement was issued, 20 days could be reasonably expected to complete immigration proceedings for illegal border crossers. Given today's immigration court backlogs, however, it is nearly impossible to find a final decision on an alien's immigration case in 20 days. So basically, they're saying they're taking advantage of the fact that when they put the policy in place, um, you know, they're basing off the court settlement that probably needs to be revisited. You know,
Yeah, we're gonna revisit it. Oh,
yeah.
yes, we are.
I mean,
Yes, we are.
and this thing is talking about. So that's why you got people they're talking about. Oh, they're separating parents from their kids. I mean, I don't know if it's always the parents. It's somebody with a kid. But even if it is, like, why would you? I mean, that's a dangerous trek. That you make with your child. So what they're doing is they're taking advantage of that. People are coming with kids, and they if they got them for more than 20 days, they can't hold them no more. So what are they doing? They're releasing them. They just releasing
That's
them
right.
into the country. Second, DHS under Biden administration leadership has done nearly everything in its power to ignore federal laws that require DHS to detain illegal entrants pending completion of their immigration proceedings. Section 235 of the INA, I guess that's the Immigration Nationality Act, is clear that aliens who submit credible fear claims shall be detained pending the completion of their proceedings. Inadmissible aliens who do not demonstrate a credible fear of return must be removed without further hearing or review. If
Josh,
they
before you go, this is something I wanted to bring up earlier, real quick. They're not even talking about they're not even referring to these people as asylum seekers at this point. You
call it,
notice that you don't even hear that language anymore?
That's right.
I'm gonna get to that later. So it says, inadmissible aliens who did not demonstrate a credible fear of return must be removed without further hearing or review if they are placed in what is known as expedited removal proceedings or detained pending completion of standard removal proceedings. The law only allows DHS to avoid detention altogether if it chooses to return an alien who crossed the southern border to Mexico to wait for an expedited immigration court hearing, consistent with Section 235 of the Immigration Nationality Act. The Trump administration implemented this law under a program called the Migrant Protection Protocols, MPP, more commonly known as Remain in Mexico. The Biden administration here, too, has refused to utilize this existing border tool. Let's see what they're doing.
Exactly.
Peep this. President Biden denounced the policy as dangerous and inhumane. Well, I mean, yeah, if he told us when we was talking about reparations, he said Latinos are the future. We need to invest in them. We didn't bring up Latinos. We talked about reparations for freedmen, for the damages done that got our people at the bottom. Everything with zero wealth. That's what we asked about, and you pivoted to basically we're gonna do open borders to replace them. So it says, despite this, the Biden administration under Secretary Mayorkas's leadership has created what might be called wait in Mexico policy of his own, requiring migrants to wait in northern Mexico to schedule to schedule an appointment using DHS's new CBP One app. The difference with Biden's policy, however, is that instead of placing a migrant in front of an immigration judge or an expedited schedule, as MPP required, the Biden administration's program simply allows the migrant to receive parole when their appointment comes up, be released into the United States, and given an employment authorization document that may be valid for up to 5 years. The Biden policy on its own created a new pull factor for illegal migration.
Right.
So what they if you just to summarize what I read, basically how it's supposed to go is you get put if you saying, oh, I'm scared, then you can be moved towards asylum. If you don't say that, then you got to get out. You got to get out. So and to hear certain hearings, you're supposed to come in front of an immigration judge. But what Biden is doing is saying, hey, you schedule your illegal immigration on an app. Schedule your illegal immigration on the app. When you come through, we just gonna parole you in. We're not gonna put you in front of no immigration judge. We're gonna give you a work authorization. Just come on through. So I mean, now it gets worse. So it says,
So in other words, they don't have to say that they're seeking asylum. They can just come in under the guise of, and this is why you'll see the language migrant workers now. You'll see them using more language like that as opposed to asylum seekers. They're not even hiding this shit.
they're not trying to pretend. They're like, don't try to fake no more and lie. The Cato Institute, which advocates for mass immigration. so this is an advocate of mass immigration and open borders, has even exclaimed that Mayorkas' CBP-1 scheme is worse than Trump's Remain in Mexico. Cato David Beer wrote, under the Biden administration's Wait in Mexico policy, immigrants and families dumped back in Mexico would not even receive a hearing date to await. They do not enter the asylum process at all. All they get from a Biden administration beyond a push in the back on the way out the door is the vague promise that at some undefined future time, this administration will do something to make things better. Beer acknowledged that under Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, an immigration judge could at least theoretically grant a migrant asylum and entry into the United States. So what this is saying, it says, well, let me keep reading. It says, under the Trump administration, Remain in Mexico cases were placed on the immigration court's expedited docket, prioritized before removal proceedings of non-detained aliens, and often decided within a matter of weeks or months. So with the Biden deal, it's like, come on in here. We're going to parole you in here. We're going to not get you in front of no judge. Your status is in the air, but you can work for 5 years. You can work for 5 years, and then we'll see about it later. So the whole
That is
time
insane, bro.
if you're an illegal immigrant, you coming over here and you don't know if the next folks come in and you don't have your status is not clear. The next president can come in and get you up out of there. They can say, oh nope, find all them people, deport all them because they don't have asylum. There's no ruling made on your immigration status. You're
Right.
technically an illegal immigrant, but they're making it legal for you to work,
Work.
and they're making it to where while we here, we're not gonna. So you see the plot. While we're here,
And there's no need for e-verify.
right? So while what Biden is doing is saying while Democrats and while I'm in power, I'll let you be over here. I'll
Wow.
let you be over here.
That's satanic,
But
bro.
if you get me out of here, then you're probably gonna be kicked out because your status is not even clear. You're not really technically you're not supposed to be over here. You just over here just because that's my policy is letting you be here.
Right. That shit is satanic, bro.
So if they got cut, so that's a way to signal to all the cousins and all the people who actually can vote. Vote to keep your cousin here. Vote to keep your uncle here, your mama here, whoever, your son. All these people that are here illegally, they're not supposed to be over here. You probably won't supposed to be over here. You got here, you got citizenship, whatever. But if you want those people to stay, you got to vote for me. That's the whole thing. What this is. But let me continue. Third, the Senate bill did nothing to address DHS's abuse of its parole authority. Congress has strictly limited circumstances in which DHS may lawfully parole an alien into the United States and crafted the parole statute such that it may only be used sparingly. That's how it's supposed to be. Specifically, the statute only permits DHS to parole an alien temporarily into the United States on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian or significant public benefit reasons. Okay, so basically, if it's some type of genocide or something that's going on, a war-torn situation or a natural disaster, that's urgent humanitarian or significant public benefit. That's if you're a scientist or you some type of have some type of high impact skill set that we need to advance some cause that for the public benefit. Okay, that's what that's talking about. So peep how the Biden administration is misrepresenting the original intent of this and is getting around that. So Biden administration has taken this small loophole in immigration law and turned it into a black hole. In addition to permitting aliens to schedule their unlawful arrival to the United States using the CBP-1 app to specifically request parole.
That shit is diabolical. It's diabolical work right there, bro.
It's crazy. This is so.
Let me read that again. Go
Real
ahead.
quick.
Go ahead.
Rosin Phoenix says, they're not familiar with the channel, and it's no offense, but we have to, when people bring up Project 2025, we have to address it. And that stuff that's in most of that stuff in Project 2025, and it's not even called that. I can't even remember the name of it. That's something that it's been called, but most of that stuff would never see the light of day legislative wise. But this right here is, as my brother Ali just said, diabolical. And this is Project 2021, 22, 23, and 2024. And if you elect Kamala back in office, we're going to have another 4, possibly even 8 years of this, which is going to have the greatest impact on our wages. John, I want you to finish reading, but I want to play this. I want to play Obama real quick, because this is important what you're breaking down, but I need people to understand this in context.
I think we should have strong border security. It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are, oftentimes in very hazardous situations and unmonitored situations that could do us long-term damage. I think we should have a serious employer verification system where employers, when they hire somebody, find out what their work status is. Are they able to work here legally? Right now, what employers will say is, well, we check their Social Security card. That's the best we can do. So we've got to set up a tamper-proof system and then hold employers accountable. You go to the back of the line so that those who came here legally, that backlog is cleared before you have opportunities for citizenship. That is a reasonable approach, and one that will ultimately address the biggest problem for American workers, and that is the depressive effect of undocumented workers who aren't right now subject to oftentimes minimum wage laws or worker safety laws or all the other things that make them cheaper.
Now you see, that's the Obama that Barbara Jordan would have voted for, Josh.
Right.
That sounds like back of the hiring line talk.
That sounds like back of the hiring line to me.
That's a fact.
And I want you to finish reading if you still going there, man.
Yeah. Because like
and it's so funny. Hold on, I just seen your message in the back to the find the Barbara Jordan and/or Bernie Sanders clip to play. Also, we need people to understand that this used to be a widespread Democratic Party position. They have reversed roles. They are for the destroying of the freedmen families. Make no mistake about it. Go ahead, bro.
Man, and see, the thing you got to understand, I just to add on to what we're looking at here. Business wants, America was built on slave labor. After they got rid of slave labor, we went from private bondage to public subjugation. So they instituted, black codes, which were designed to limit our movement and opportunity, and it was designed to put us in jail so they could do convict leasing, so that we could go back working on the plantations. Except we didn't have to be the burden of cost on people as far as having to house us and worry about us escaping. No, we have the state hold us in bondage and lease us out to people for working. And so if you understand that after a period of time, we fought, and we tried to get equality and we tried to get freedom. And so if technology advanced, and they just said we don't need the freedmen labor no more, except for when we lock them up. We'll just focus on how can we undercut that with technology and with outsourcing and with importation of cheap labor through illegal immigration work, right? So That's really what this is about. And that's those people who own those businesses are on the Democrat and they're on the Republican side. The Democrat side, I just told you, I just broke down like the game of, hey, I'm not gonna decide your status so you can feel comfortable. Either I'm authorized to be in America, I have asylum, or I'm not, and I got to go home, and I don't have to worry about like 10 years later somebody snatching the rug from up underneath me or my kids in school and know we get deported or whatever the case may be. No, what Biden is saying, no, just come on over here, we let you in. But hey, if you want to keep your people in, you know, you better vote for me, because when the next people come out, the boogeyman, he gonna get it. He gonna get y'all up out of here. He gonna send y'all back. So that's kind of like what the game is. In addition to give people citizenship, and then they'll vote for you in 1 or 2 generations, or give before you even get the citizenship, just give them the right to vote, and we know who they're gonna vote for, right? So let me continue. So let me go back and read this last sentence I just read before we played that clip. In addition to permitting aliens to schedule their unlawful arrival into the United States using the CBP-1 app to specifically request parole, which again, parole is to circumvent having to go and face that immigration judge that decides the status once and all. The administration has also created numerous programs to allow migrants to apply for parole from home if they are not eligible for a visa to the United States.
That is nasty work, bro. They
These
sitting at home with an app. Yo, this is
they
wild.
ain't got to come to the border.
This
These
Project
policies,
2025 ain't got nothing on this right here.
So
these
so what Biden was trying to do was expand what's already done. So what happened is you would have to come to the border, you would have to sit in front of a panel, and if you got accepted, more than likely you would get the EAD and it would last for 1 year. What Biden is saying is you could be anywhere in America illegally, or you could be wherever you at in the world. Get on this app and you can apply for this. And we're moving it from 1 year to up to 5 years. Now, once you get accepted, you'll be able to get a social security card and other things. It's basically like a work visa. But he was going to expand this. Now, if Kamala's job as VP was the Caesar of the border, right? She was supposed to be at the border stopping people from coming in. Even though I don't remember any times that she went and visited the border and had an interview on the border and was saying what she was going to do as vice president to lock down the border and control the amount of illegals from coming in. But this was her job, right? So this is like interesting because I make Kamala Harris the border Caesar, but then I
No,
submit policy that will open the floodgates to the border. So, like, is he setting her up, or did she get a job that she didn't have to work because that's not even a route we're gonna do anyway?
yeah, I like Caesar. Don't get me wrong, man. I like Caesar. She's a border Caesar, but they say czar.
Czar.
Anyway, man. So yeah. So basically you can be in hold on, let me go back to my so you can be so let me keep reading. These policies allow migrants to fly directly to U.S. airports, receive parole, receive work authorization, and be added to historic immigration court backlogs, in some cases simply by virtue of having relatives in the United States. So not because you scared, and not because you got a natural disaster, or you having civil war or whatever the case may be. Not any of that. Just because your cousin over here. So in other cases, they allow aliens from certain countries to jump the line and enter the United States based on green card eligibility, while nationals from all other countries who may also be eligible must wait abroad. So the people who are trying to go through the normal process, you know, they're getting skipped over for people who basically who would otherwise be coming across the border as illegal aliens. They're getting skipped over. So what, like, if they're telling you if you cheat, you get ahead, why would everybody not just cheat and do that? You don't even have you did. They say, look, you used to have to cheat and lie. Now you don't. Now you don't have to lie. You just cheat. Just cheat, and we'll bring you over here. So it says, even if an alien has not formally applied for parole using CBP-1, they may be paroled out of detention and released again with work authorization simply because DHS has determined. Simply because DHS has determined it is not in the public interest to detain the alien. Despite the federal law's mandates, resource constraints in space may also provide DHS a justification, albeit a legally inadequate one, to release migrants CBP has apprehended who have entered illegally. So basically what they're saying, you remember how back up here when I said, you know, if you want to say, like, what the point of this thing was to do was for urgent, to handle case by case basis for urgent humanitarian or significant public benefit reasons. What they saying here is the public benefit is because we ain't got no more space. We didn't we apprehended so many people, and we got them so many people that's caught entering illegally. We don't even have enough space for you, so it's in the public benefit to not have too many people housed in one little small detention center. We don't want to be too packed, so it's in the public interest to let you go free in the United States.
Wow.
Just let them go. That's the
This
public
is
interest.
this is why you see so many people who took the other route, the legal route, or who are citizens. Maybe they took the illegal route and they are citizens. Start to vote for the other party that want
That's
to
exactly
constrain
right.
these avenues. But this is also why you see Kamala Harris pivot on her rhetoric about being open borders and a fast path to so many illegal immigrants. And now she's saying, well, we need to have some control at the border. And now she's touting the position that Biden gave her at the border, even though she doesn't have a resume of, putting teeth behind those policies. But now you can see, like, there's like a battle over how you get into this country, and now it makes more sense why Indians was trying to monopolize the H-1B visa process, because they probably feel like we're there's a there there's an ocean that divides us, where when it comes to people who can come up from S- South America and Central America, there's a connected landmass, right, and a little raggedy wall that they can just get right into the country. So if they get to monopolize that route, then we'll take the H-1B visa route. At first it didn't make sense, but now it does. There's a bunch of people trying to get into this country, and they're trying to prioritize their people, right? And it's basically based off class and resources and your access to getting into America, which is bad for us whenever
Yeah.
you think about it.
But also, like, the other part with people being able to schedule their joint from the other side of the world on an app and buying a plane ticket and coming over is, you know, it's a lot of countries you skip over when you fly over all them countries. You come to America. Why not go to them countries? So or your own country. But
I mean,
um,
I mean, if those countries got an app, I'm just gonna download all the apps. I mean, wouldn't that be interesting if somebody they was here all of like 2024 illegal, and then one day they woke up and they looked on their app and they say, "Oh, I'm here legally now." I just got a text and it says, I was. Think about it like this: is there a crime or any type of, like, policy that we could break and it could become legal, because we're like just in limbo at the time, right? So we can go from actually, uh, I mean, I guess you call it a crime. We can go from committing a crime to be 100% legal, just because our status changed, a status that was able to change on the app.
yeah, I don't know. All I know is this needs to be challenged. I don't know how they are getting away with this because it's undermining um the spirit of like trying to have a country, you know. But
But they but
go
they
ahead.
but they say when Trump killed this, right, from like him and Mar-a-Lago fighting cases, when he killed this, he killed their ability to be able to put restraints on illegals coming in. But that's not what this bill is about.
No, this is not. What this is trying to do is codify Biden's policy into a law, as opposed to it being a policy that the next administration, it's kind of like when they say, "Oh, executive order." Okay, then the next president comes in and he stops the executive order. Well, it's a little bit harder to like stop a law. You have to get the law rewritten or something like that. As to be voted to amend that law, as opposed to the next 4 years, the president can just come in and say, "No, we're not doing that no more." Tear that paper up, right? So that's really what it seems like that bill was about. So if this is garbage, if this is terrible, why in the world would I want to codify it to law? That makes no sense. So it's dead on arrival. So it says here, finally, as I wrote about in detail earlier, the availability of work authorization in and of itself is a pull factor for legal immigration and fraudulent asylum claims. So, peep this. Under current law, aliens who submit an asylum claim may apply for work authorization after 180 days. The waiting period was designed to deter the submission of fraudulent claims at a time when 180 days was reasonable for DHS to process that claim. That, again, is no longer the case. Aliens who receive parole may apply for work authorization immediately. So they're using parole to get around all this stuff when it's not supposed to be used for none of these purposes. To make matters worse, the Biden administration has prioritized the adjudication of work authorization applications for those with parole over other, often legal applicants who request um, employment authorization. What is it, DC?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's man.
So again, they're giving illegal aliens and people that is making a BS asylum claims. They're giving them They're leaping them over top of the people that's trying to go through the proper channels to do things the right way. You
They're
know,
incentivizing criminality.
they're incentivizing criminality. Facts. It says the Senate bill did nothing to address this either, and might have significantly increased its incentive by allowing DHS to grant work authorization immediately to migrants who enter illegally and submit an asylum claim. What would the bill have done then? Well, first, it would have given a lot of money to DHS and to NGOs to process migrants, i.e., further funding many of the institutional problems that have allowed the crisis to grow to the scale it has. Second, it would have allowed DHS to remove ICE and immigration judges from the asylum process altogether by requiring USCIS asylum officers, who typically only screen migrants for credible fear cases, not make final decisions on their cases, to release migrants from detention and allow them to make final decisions on those cases. It would have also provided additional funding to USCIS Asylum Division to do so, because the Asylum Division is already underwater and experiencing historic backlogs. Sources from USCIS tell me that the affirmative, so it's been this long thing over affirmative action, and you know it's a highly contested thing, and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't even know about this. Sources from USCIS tell me that the affirmative asylum, they got affirmative asylum. Ain't that something? The affirmative asylum backlog,
Wow.
i.e., asylum cases that are not filled as a defense to removal, but often by aliens who already have lawful immigration statuses, alone has exceeded 1 million cases for the first time ever. That means that an applicant who files an affirmative asylum application today may not receive a decision on their case for as long as a decade. As my colleague Andrew Arthur has written about extensively, asylum officers have meaningful incentives to rubber stamp asylum applications. Moreover, asylum officers are not required to have any law degrees. Many, in fact, do not, but will be asked to make complex and final legal decisions that cannot be appealed by an ICE attorney if an application is erroneously granted. So that what they're saying is, hey, let's create a scenario where we strip away all. See, Democrats. Oh, we need to have regulation, and I'm for regulation, particularly like environmental and regulating food and regulating, pollution and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely for that, and even like banks and all that to make sure that they don't just greed just doesn't destroy human health and economic and mental, emotional, social well-being. But why is it that they're not for policy additional regulation on this? Why are they not for regulation on this? So you want people who are basically like immigration policy enforcers. You want them to be attorneys. But when they make a mistake and they make a bad judgment, which is obviously always going to, for the vast majority of the period of time, it's going to be a mistake in the favor of illegal immigrants getting asylum status granted, right? You don't want any ability for that to be overturned. Okay, third, the Senate bill tried to spend another $1.29 billion on flawed alternatives to detention program and provide nearly $7 billion in NGOs and state and local governments to provide housing, transportation, medical care, and other service to migrants and even foreign governments. As my colleagues Jessica Vaughn and John Fear explained in early February. In short, the bill would have expanded what we sometimes call the illegal immigration industrial complex. Nothing about this is border security. Rather, it was designed to streamline illegal immigration and obscure the crisis from American voters. House Republicans were right to declare the bill would be dead upon arrival. They didn't need Trump to tell them to kill it. Biden likewise cannot hide behind the Senate bill to claim, or I should say Harris cannot likewise hide behind the Senate bill to claim to be too tough on border security. The Senate bill was never offered as a good faith compromise. It was offered to provide the president cover to say, well, I tried. So this is an article by Elizabeth Jacobs on the CIS. So, and I got to say again, I echo this message. I don't have any problem against any individual. Like my issue is not with the person. My issue is not with like people. Oh, because if I'm putting myself.
Wait, hold on, Josh. I'm starting to have problems with the people too.
Well,
they taking over apartment buildings and all this type of stuff. I'm starting to have a problem with the policy and the people.
Well, the policy is creating a problem. The people are having to respond and react to the situation they're put in, and they're put in a position where they almost like are brought in to be adversarial to us because they know that, or we let them know, or they figure out, man, these people have been here, they've been fighting, they're pretty mad. We're coming and skipping the line ahead of them, and then we're getting access to resources, and they never got access to it. And there's these people, citizens, they've been paying taxes, they've been fighting, they saved the country from the Confederates, they saved the country, they fought in all the wars, they voted in elections, they built infrastructure to the country and their cities and all that.
I don't think most of them even understand none of that. Most of them don't even speak English. They don't care. They just trying to come over here and get what they can get.
Well, the point is they're put in a position where it's adversarial, so they're gonna feel it eventually. And what they do is they just say, "Well, look, who got my back? Is you don't got my back. You know who got my back? The big interest, right? That's who got my back. Or at least that's what they think. So that they come on with it, So it's like. And we feel that. We feel that in Chicago. We feel that in New York. We feel that, and slowly but surely, if you listening to this and you out in a city or a county or a town and you're like, it don't affect me that much. Just drive around, go to the schools, see what the schools looking like, see how stuff changing. It's gonna start affecting you.
Quick, Josh.
Go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead, bro.
The California lawmakers just passed a law. It hasn't been signed by Governor Newsom, but giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not? I'm not going to say that's what the country's going to do, but that's certainly where California is.
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But understand this about immigration.
It's not free housing. It's the American dream. So what is it for the freedmen? Let me play this because
fucking handout. The handout that you're looking for.
A handout when it comes to us. It's a handout. And these are the people, Pelosi. Remember that 2019 and 2021 Hill article that said the top Democratic brass, and they were alluding to this demon right here, wanted the issue and topic of reparations to go away. And she said it's not free housing, it's the American dream, while our people are being kicked out of their homes more than, especially our women, more than anybody else in this country. I got to bring that back. Oh, this is angering. Shout out to my brother Dre for sending me this one.
Let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But understand this about immigration. The best speech on immigration was by President Ronald Reagan. This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States. I want to communicate a message to the country I love. And he talked about the Statue of Liberty and the beacon of hope it is to the world, and what America was preeminent in the world because our door was always open, and we will cease to be preeminent when we shut the door. Now, I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous speech. And George Herbert Walker Bush continued in that respect for the diversity of America and the rest. California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states. But we're very blessed here with beautiful diversity.
So you'd vote for this law?
Excuse me?
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what it is, but making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is before your residence. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented. The fact that we can move them to documented. One of the best things that we can do
is all a Mexican's popping.
Is to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
Hey, listen,
you know what's interesting about this?
Yeah, go ahead,
there's not just a mass exodus of American freedmen who are leaving California. There's a mass exodus of white people who can't afford the cost of living in California, up and down the coastline, right? And they're living in RVs, they're living in tents, they're moving further and further east, right? They're moving as far as Texas and sometimes farther into the Midwest. Businesses are leaving as well. This is something that former President Trump talks about. But the idea that you can now give out what many people can't even achieve that's been here for generations to somebody who just gets here and hasn't even been here for 10, 20 years, man. And you giving them a prime piece of real estate that they could transfer into wealth and move into the Midwest and then be that much more able to compete and crush anybody that tries to, come against them. And imagine you get a house in California and you're there for like 10 years and it doubles or triples. You can then sell it and move to the Midwest or the South and live like a king. We're talking about people who was just once undocumented, who she says she wants to make documented.
Look, Ibrahim, they're going to be going to Mississippi, Alabama. They're going to be going where that real estate is cheap, and they're going to push us out like they're doing everywhere all over this country. What's happening on the West Coast in California is also happening up and down the East Coast. So,
you know what? what's crazy is, if you look at a racial dot map and where black people live, right? But look at other groups, right? Because there's places in America where black people wouldn't dare go, right? It's just hostile to us. It's historically been hostile. But I find this interesting as a truck driver and just traveling the country. I go into some of the most like rural areas, Appalachian areas, and you'll see Indians, right, from India and Latinos there along the new Confederates, right? So it's not like they don't have resources and people planted all throughout America anyway. But to be able to come here and get a prime piece of real estate and then use that asset to like anchor yourself somewhere else and knock out the competition. And we're asking for something that's owed to us, but America has moved past us and on to a new group of people who won't be cheap labor forever, because you give somebody an asset like that, man, that really anchors you in and allows you to compete in this capitalist society.
Josh, I mean, Ali, what
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? And they're talking about if that $150,000. If I shouldn't have never closed that out. Where did I put it? In the inbox. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, since you brought that up, I'll just say, hey, look, I brought up many times before, I brought up that government settlement. I don't know if it's a settlement or they found that Apple was violating many American citizens' rights, constitutionally protected rights, freedom from discrimination based on nationality. And because Apple was hiring, they were making the process of being able to even apply for jobs or get hired for American citizens or even residents to apply for jobs and get hired for jobs. They're making it so hard because they were advertising jobs disproportionately to people who they wanted to get on like an H-1B visa for many reasons, because those people would likely stay longer. They would be more dependent on Apple for employment to sponsor them, and they can pay them much cheaper, right? And so the government actually fined Apple like a record number. I think it was only like 25 million, but that as far as the dollar figure was high. And I think that particular policy, if they actually do that, where you first generation home buyers about like how, so what you're saying is you're discriminating against me
That's
for
right.
based on my nationality. I'm not from anywhere else. I'm from here. So I would
You
say
got
we
to
could
save
start
up
trying
your
to apply, and
150,
we get
Josh, so you
denied,
can
and it's
compete.
class action suit. Yeah, yeah.
You got
Man,
save up
uh,
oh man.
crazy.
Brahmin
Yeah.
Indian buy businesses all over the USA and have untouchables run the store for 5 years, then relocate them to a new store. I've seen it, man. I mean, I've seen it in Duluth, Georgia. I've seen Chinese supermarkets where they're importing products from China. Some of the same stuff that you would buy in an American store, but it's a Chinese brand for $2 cheaper. And the workers in there are Mexican. The workers in this Duluth, Georgia supermarket is Mexican. In Charlotte, in North Carolina, and Raleigh and Durham, I'm seeing these Indians who own the stores. They own the hotels. They have their own supermarkets. They have halal food trucks. And how they're doing it is they're bringing their food trucks into lots that are owned by the Indians. So they get to rock out there for as long as they want, and they work in a system. They're giving us a blueprint once we get them up out of here, because now we have to ensure that a policy is implemented to hashtag send them home. It's time to send them home. Let me say real quick, family, We got 480 people watching live, mostly from Twitter. Twitter family, come on over to the YouTube, man. Click like. Come give us a subscribe. Support the platform. You're not gonna get breakdowns like this in too many places. You know, it's some sharp political minds out there, but because our focus is different, our focus is specific to our people, you're just not gonna get breakdowns like how you're gonna get here on the Be the Power YouTube channel. And our namesake, Be the Power. We've been powerless. This is why we've not had a chance to change any of this stuff. None of it.
You know, this is so detrimental to the safety and the fabric of America, right? And such nefarious policy proposed by the Biden and Harris administration. This comes in the middle of COVID. Biden and Harris takes office in the middle of COVID. And this is what they were proposing in the middle of, American freedmen dropping like flies because we didn't have the resources to be able to combat what was going on at the time. And it's funny because now they run and they say, well, look at Trump. Trump didn't take COVID seriously. How serious was you taking COVID? How serious was you taking the quote unquote backbone of your party if you were allowing unvetted people to come across the border while we had this pandemic going on? And a lot of people forget about this, but it's smoke and mirrors. The Democrats always try to point to the Republicans and say, see, look, these are the bad guys, when they're doing the same exact actions, but even worse, even more worse. And like that's the crazy part about this. And if you try to hold them accountable, somehow you're MAGA, or somehow you don't like black women now, or somehow you just want Project 2025 to take over. And it's like, no, we got to look at all of this stuff with a critical eye, because this stuff undermines us. It undermines our success in this country, and it builds up opponents with the help of the government that we created through our, hard labor and bodies, and it builds up other people so they can just then crush us. And it's sad because we just running around, partying, having fun. What Van Jones say, they put the party back in Democratic Party. It's like, man, we not partying, we suffering.
We gonna put the party back in the party.
Yeah, another thing is, going back to the topic, I don't know. I don't know if it's time to do that or not. All I know is it's not time for me to support that type of policy. It's not time for me to support the continued policy. Oh, okay, I got you. It's not. I mean, the time is up for us to support the policy that's counterproductive to our best interests. How do you expect us to see all of this, know all this? The numbers show, what the trajectory of our wealth, how our employment is being negatively impacted, how our families are being, impacted, and all this kind of stuff. And our relative position in America is slipping. That's the thing you got to understand. I think it was Darity, and he was talking about, on I can't remember. I think we were having a discussion with Thomas Kramer and Moser, and I think he brought up. He was talking about relative position as opposed to absolute position. So you're talking about when people always talk about, oh, look at those unemployment numbers. I under my administration, black people were doing well. We did this, we did this, we did that. But how did that affect our relative position? It's not just the raw numbers. Okay, they went up. Yeah, but if everybody else went up 5 times and we only went up 2 times, yeah, we went up, but we lost ground in terms of catching up. I mean, if anything else, if we're already at the bottom, when everybody goes up, we should go disproportionately up higher. That's how that should work. It shouldn't be like the gap just continues to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen. And So if you know that's the case, I don't know how you would continue to vote for people that are telling you, they're telling you we're replacing you. They're telling you we're not going to do nothing for you. They show you, and not just on the federal level, they show you on the state level, because the state level, keep in mind when Kamala first announced her policy, she was talking about a policy similar to the one we talked about in California. And, it just so that part just, and man, I had one more other thing, but I'll come back around and now I'll close out with that. Go ahead, Ali.
Plans for Chicago's newest summer festival. The El Grito Festival is coming to Grant Park the weekend of September 14th and 15th. The festival will feature food, music, and art focused on Mexican culture. Organizers say they expect about 12,000 people to attend each day. Safety measures include private security staff, canine teams, and bag checks.
Grant Park, is that the same park that Obama did his victory rally at in Chicago?
Yeah, that was a part where Oprah Winfrey was leaning on the white guys. Obama spoke to the crowd.
Come on, y'all. Y'all better wake it up. Let me get my sound effects going. Y'all better wake it up. We better wake it up, fam. We being replaced. There's a bunch of, we had to address some things in this there, and I want Ali to go into, but we had to address some things earlier in this stream with people that's supposed to be fighting for reparations, and they're clearly not. And the fact that we have to keep addressing these people every year, it seems like, is proof of that. Instead of us all working toward the same goal, you got Mexicans celebrating, what is that? Granito Day? El Grito Day in Mexico. Shout out to my sister Shanna for sending me that, man. That honors, brother Dre. Yo, Ali, what's going on, man? This is crazy, bro. This is crazy.
Diabolical work, bro. That's what's going on. So
that's a new one. Diabolical work.
Oh yeah, man. Instagram, be like all over Instagram, you'll see that. But this is sad, man. It's a sad state of affairs. And instead of trying to figure out how to come together, like you mentioned, you got people trying to go at other people supposedly within the same group. Nevertheless, I mean, we're doing what needs to be done, speaking to this particular issue, which is a very, very important issue. It's a very important issue. And at some point, man, we gotta make sure that our families are aware of the significance of what's happening right now. That article that Josh was reading from, I actually shared that same article what was it, last night, I think, on Roz's thread on Facebook. Because some guy was on there talking about 2025 and Trump and, all of that fear-mongering, all of the regular fear-mongering that the Democrats have been programmed to do, and had to show them like, yo, look, there's a lot that you guys are not really considering at all. And it's very critical. We're in a crucial period. And we can't keep playing these kinds of games. I mean, people talking about shit like how to properly pronounce this woman's name and like all of this, like, this is the kind of stuff they got our people talking about. Say her name right. Make sure you say it. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is that?
Because they have nothing else to talk about. And then when you start bringing up policy, they'll say something to the effect of, you probably one of them people that don't believe she black, right? Wait a minute. I'm talking about how this chick doesn't have policy for my people, and you want to have the conversation about her blackness. You sure you want to have that conversation with me? Because I'm not the one. You can't tell me about the Jamaican man that we've never found anything where he called himself a black person. You can't have that debate with me. But we know what he wrote, and we know what them census records say. And if we choose to, we may get into that one of these days. We may. We didn't want to, we were going to do it and then decided, we didn't need to distract people with that. We can just focus on her policies, but the pandering, and now she's out there in one rally doing a Southern drawl type of accent. Then she flies to Pennsylvania and she's saying the same exact words in her regular voice. I'm like, come on, man. At some point, this stuff got to stop. And we have to stop falling for the okie doke. We have to stop falling for the okie doke, man. So
That reminds me
I
of the
mean,
Drake,
it's crazy.
like Drake when he on the records and trying to get us to say, oh, that's. And then when you see in the video when he's at his house talking to friends or family over there in Canada, it's like, huh? It's a totally different. That just make me think they
That's the
not like
bacon,
us.
eh?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
bacon, eh?
yeah. I mean, hey, that's who he is. But don't fake it. That's the thing. Like, and
Somebody's saying
here's the
split
other
the
thing.
ticket.
Hmm?
Real quick. I want you to cook, Josh. I want to address this though.
I
Somebody
was gonna
says
go here.
Ali came off the camera. So Ali, wait a minute. Ali,
Oh no, I didn't see the comment or nothing. I don't know what's.
okay, I thought you seen that, and that's why you came off.
Now,
Definitely,
what did it say?
it says definitely split your ticket. So,
I mean, what I'll say is, look at the candidate, right? That everybody is. You can't say all vote all Republican everywhere. Like nobody wants to be that blindly, red or blue. It's gonna have some context to make sense. For you to make sense of who is the best candidate to vote for your interests. Like that's the thing. Vote for your
Interest.
interests. Yeah, vote for your interests. The interests of the free.
Wait, yo, yeah, look, this is my rationalization of voting for my interests. Is to actually vote against the Democrats.
Well,
That's how.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Straight down the ticket. You heard me say it. I said it in a Twitter space, and I'm saying it here now, and I'm on camera saying it. Straight down the ticket. I'm voting against the Democrats. Take it how you want. I don't care. The debate about who to vote for is over for me. There's no more debate, right?
Well,
We just
it
talking now.
may be somebody else other than them on the ticket.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So, but what I wanted to say was,
our people on there, they said they telling me homegirl crashing out on us.
who was that?
They said our homegirl Yvette
Oh.
crashing out on her.
Well,
It's cool. I don't know if she crashing out on us, but they said she on there crashing out.
I mean,
You
you
know,
would think, sometimes you'd hope that people get they get it, they get over, what the issue is, and they, sometimes people you look at them like, you still on that? You still crazy? You still don't read the room, and the room is saying like, no, we need to work together, but you still think if people need to fall in line and fall up underneath you. That's not a reality. That's not that was never a
Mama
reality.
doesn't work with her kids.
look at Boosie. He said, I'm sitting outside the airport, and the next thing you know, these people just pulled up and start jamming. But look at the people. Like, this isn't America anymore. This is, they might as well call this multicultural or something like that.
The thing about the thing about voting your interest, I don't know if a lot of people even know what their interest is. The interest lies in the group, not the individual.
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk about voting your interest, what's the interest of the group that you're with? What's the
Facts.
interest? It's not a lot of, because when I hear people defend certain policy, they'll say, well, this helps me, right? And it's like, okay, it helps you now, but will it help you in 6 months, right? Because life be lifing, and things happen all the time, and we get a bunch of curveballs. So people got to understand, like, when you vote your interest, you got to vote the interest of your group,
Right.
because
That's the whole point.
that's going to be the safety net if you fall.
The other thing was, there's an assumption that all people in America that are not, foundational people, or, that are also immigrants, they're pro-immigration too. but that's not the truth, because there are people who come over here through some other type of process, and they didn't get everything thrown at them and handed to them and all that kind of stuff, and they are seeing they see the issues in other countries with the overpopulation in certain areas, swollen populations in certain areas, with infrastructure being overrun and all these type of things, and they don't want that for where they've invested their life to live in, right? And so those people are also against the policy of mass immigration. But and what I read earlier, if you read that and you understood that was going on and you were powerless to do anything about it, wouldn't you try to be the power? So, I mean, the governor of Texas, I'm not saying I'm a fan of him or whatever. The governor of Arizona, but I'm not mad at him for putting them in buses and sending them up here. I'm mad at him for actually being up here because what the federal government is supposed to do is like, oh, who are you, illegal? You over here illegally? No, we're gonna have to send most of y'all back, if not all of y'all back. Yeah, because this just don't make any sense. But I'm not mad at him.
Real quick, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Let me play this real quick. All right. Well,
let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that? Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
What the fuck?
Why is this one not playing?
So, friends, 64 days until the most election.
They said this one is in Detroit.
The next 64 days. How about that? Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
They saying this is the same day, I think, in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure.
64 days until the most election of our lives.
So the most.
So, friends, 64 days.
See the white people behind us. See how she's talking? Now look at this one.
Days. How about that?
You got a couple black people
the next
back
64
there.
days. How about that? Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
So the most elections. What did she say?
She meant to say the most important election of our lives.
Until the most election of our lives.
My God. To the most election of our lives.
I'm just saying, y'all.
That's y'all president there, man.
This
president.
It's your president too, man. It's your president too.
Nah.
I'm gonna play one more thing, y'all. Because this sister from Chicago, I seen her before. She's straight cooking. And this pretty much sums up the sentiment of our people that's happening in this awakening across the country, and especially with what's going on in Chicago. So let's wake this one up.
I just saw Mayor Brandon Johnson Tuesday at that PBC meeting, and that's a small room.
Come on.
That room is half the size of this.
Wow.
And he's like right there. And I made it clear to him that you getting ready for this DNC and all eyes is on this DNC.
Yes.
But know this, Mayor Brandon Johnson, Black Chicago is going to pick up just where it left off at. This DNC don't mean nothing.
Come on now.
We done already told you what it is that we want. We done already told you what's important.
Come on.
And we done already told you we black out here.
Come on.
We not running with no black and brown coalition, because brown getting the money and black ain't getting nothing but the black being used of us and our stats being used.
Come on now.
That's right.
So I encourage everybody that you think about how we love each other. And that's how when you fall out with one another,
come on,
you able to lay it aside.
That's right.
Because there's no argument that I can have with anybody in this room that's gonna surpass me loving my brothers,
come on now,
me loving my sisters.
On, sis.
So I want to encourage us to keep praying, keep moving, keep working. I don't care what it look like. I don't care who get in office. We black out here, and it's black first.
P1, baby. Come on now. That's not
P1. Yeah.
These people are
Yo, we gotta drop bombs to that. That sister went up in there and she woke it up, man. She woke that thing up, and that's we're witnessing an awakening right now in this country among the American freedmen. I'm hyped. You know, I because some people see dreariness, not me. My cup is half full. And my glass is half full. I see the possibility of the political future that we're molding, and we just got to get to our youth. And once we get to our youth, it's a wrap. And they're starting to see it. They're starting to wake up to things when it comes to politics. So,
Man, if you pay attention to TikTok and IG, you'll see where the youth heads are at. You know, you can see it. They going in a whole different direction than a lot of the elders, you know, at this point. They just don't get the, you know, a lot of that stuff is not seen. A lot of people not on TikTok and IG like that. A lot of the elders is on Facebook and Twitter. But the young people, they're making them TikTok videos going in. You know, they on IG going in, pushing back against everything. These regular heads, they be posting this stuff. You'll see Tamika Mallory post something. You'll see this one post something, that one, and they be in them comment sections going in. I look at their profiles. I'm like, yeah, these young people, man, they kind of seeing what it is, man, and they not really buying into it the way that these folks want. You know, they're not buying into it. What you laughing at, Josh?
I was laughing at Drake said Kamala makes Dan Quayle look like Abra.
Yeah, man. So, hey, you know, let's speak to the topic real quick. Is it time?
Are we looking at a possible party realignment getting ready to happen again, man?
That's an excellent question. So that leads into the question of tonight's stream, and yes, that's what we're witnessing right now. You know, it's some people that refuse to be shamed. They refuse to be shamed into voting against their best interests. And you know, I seen the Sister Sexy Red. And like I said, I don't publicly speak out against our sisters. You know, I don't like the stuff, but Sexy Red and Suki and all the rest of them that's clickbaiting for $1, they are a product of the United States of America. And it's just as simple as that. And Pelosi is talking about we're not going to give them free stuff. We're just going to give them the American dream. Like, it's not free because we're going to pay for it. But when it comes to the freedmen, you know, you coochie pink and booty hole brown. You have to make music like that in order to come up in the United States of America. So I try my best not to criticize them publicly. I see them as my little sisters and little nieces and nephews, etc.
Man, that was some old fork-tongue slick shit that Pelosi was up there.
She's a devil.
They all did it. You played the video of Obama before he got into office and how he was talking about, you know, we got to tighten up the borders and use EOC verify and put consequences behind it. Then he gets into office and he passed DACA. Kamala Harris is billing herself as a continuation of Obama's legacy. And we don't want to go back to that. We don't want to go back to somebody that says one thing and does another. You know, so like I think the people is fed up, and when I hear that lady speak from Chicago, you know, they were ground zero for Obama to come and exploit them as he put on his American freedman mask and rode away to the top all the way to the White House. And it's just, you know, the irony that the DNC convention was in Chicago this year, and still they ignored those people. They know those people have been rioting against their city becoming a sanctuary city, and illegal immigrants and legal immigrants taking over everything on the south side and the west side of Chicago, which has such rich American freedom history, and they're fed up. And I've seen people in New York City doing the same thing, and like, we got to be on board with our American freedmen brothers and sisters all across the nation, and we got to tell them, man, enough is enough. We've been through this once with Obama. We're not going through this thing again, man. The interest of our people is not the interest of the Democratic Party. And like they said, they not going back. They move past our issues anyway. So we shouldn't be afraid to divorce ourselves from a party that's already divorced themselves from us. I mean, this is asinine at this point, man.
I hit the wrong sound effect. Oh, I'm still working on this.
No, that was the right one because he said the wrong word. It was right on time almost.
Yeah, man. So look, family, y'all see what it is, man. We are no longer voting against our best interest. Go to the website, bethepower.org. No, bethepower.org/math. Men at the head, for all of our brothers that's looking to link up with not just brothers, because there's sisters that support what we're doing as well. Those women that know that when we were together, as opposed to being separated by liberalism, we had more strength. We had stronger communities. We had stronger households, even with poor wealth positionality. And we have to get back to that. So make sure y'all go to our Be the Power website. I'll put the link in the chat. If you're watching on Twitter, on our live feed, you already see the link there several times for bethepower.org. Men at the head. Support the platform, Be the Power. Right now, we are witnessing a party realignment. Our people are moving back to the Republican Party. There's a whole movement in Chicago called Chicago Going Red. And we're starting to see that tonight. You know, we're starting to see a lot of people say the same exact things. Cats that I grew up with, straight killers, gangsters, goons, etc. I'm talking to them and they say they voting for Trump. I mean, they were saying this a year ago. This isn't even a recent conversation. So I already know now that they're definitely voting for Trump. So I mean, we're seeing the party realignment, Ali. It's happening before our eyes. Charles Blow said it in his book. Y'all make sure y'all go back and watch the replay because we spoke to it earlier. Man. And also make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got 515 people watching live. Most of y'all are watching from Twitter. We want y'all to come on, hit that subscribe button, click like on the video, come show some love to the YouTube channel. We got to make sure our message is spreading on these platforms where the messages are being suppressed at. That's why Trump had to go on with Elon Musk. I'm no fan of Elon Musk at all. I don't like the dude. I think, he promotes bigotry and racism just so he can bring engagement to his app under the guise of free speech. But the point is, that's where Trump had to go to do that interview, and it was like over 1 million people listening. That joint crashed. That's how crazy it was. So definitely, man.
I heard some of it. I heard a little bit of it. I didn't hear most of it. I didn't hear, but it was pretty decent from what I heard. You know what I'm saying? Trump was doing what he normally does. You know what I mean? Rod said he's fearless with doing interviews. He is.
That's right.
He's been doing this stuff for a long time. This woman, she definitely needs somebody to hold her hand during softball interviews and softball questions. She don't want to answer stuff. She want to, next question. She remember, this is the same lady who said the greatest rapper alive is Tupac.
And she was listening to Pac when she was in college smoking on bud. And Pac wasn't even out yet. It's like, come on. What you talking
about? The family, I think I appreciate everybody who joined in. Yeah, man, it's time. Like, I think that the fear mongering is a dead issue for me. All that fear mongering stuff. Oh, the Project 2025, and they're gonna build a wall, and they're gonna take your civil rights away, and democracy is on the ballot, and your right to vote is on. That's pseudo, man. All that stuff is pseudo. It's fake. Bullshit talk, bullshit babble. You know what I mean? It's not real. They don't want you to make a move. They want to keep you there so they can continue to dangle carrots in front of your face, keep you tied to that party while they use your plight in the Freedman Bank Forum to figure out how to give money and opportunities and all kind of other stuff to these other people. So with that, bro, I say thank everybody for tuning in. I'm glad we talked about this stuff in peace.
Indeed. Josh, you got any closing statements?
Josh is gone.
Oh, Josh left. Okay. Who is, I can't see the screen. I was making a post on Twitter real quick.
The name is gone too.
I see. All right. So look, fam, thank you all for joining the stream tonight. Kamala will be the first president to get asked a question in a debate and answer double dare. That's funny. So, thank you all for joining the stream tonight. This is what we do over here at Be the Power, United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. Go to our website, usadof.org, if you would like to join this Freedmen movement. This Freedmen movement is moving, and Freedmanism is being spoken about all over the country. You can't go nowhere where they're talking about justice for our people and not hear that term. You hear it being mentioned on MSNBC. You hear it being mentioned on these different platforms right now with breakdowns that, I mean, come on, man.
I do have one more thing to say when you're done. When you still there? You disappeared.
Yeah,
Oh, I was just gonna say, just as you're mentioning Freedmanism, I just want people to understand in California, Freedmanism did not fail. Just be clear about that. Freedmanism did not fail. The CLBC failed. The Democrats failed. That's what happened out there. They failed. It ain't us. It ain't us. It's them, and they've been failing us for a long time. And so they just getting bold with it at this point. They really just don't care. And that's what we're seeing. Now you're seeing people who don't care and at the point where they're like, hey, we might have enough people to pull this replacement thing off successfully. So we don't have to keep playing with these, quote unquote, freedmen, foundational blacks. We don't need that. We can shut that shit down now.
That's right. So, for those people that's trying to throw our organization and like, yo, man, cut it out. Cut it out. Just cut it out because it's not going to fly. The Democrats failed us in Cali. The Congressional Legislative Black Caucus failed us in Cali. Like, the failure is on them people that didn't want to see the Pan-Africans failed us. Those people that didn't want to see the thing go through anyway. The governor failed us. Nancy Pelosi just sat up on Bill Maher. We just played that clip. You think that she was for this reparations plan for our people? Hell no. But she wants to give the American dream to illegal aliens. Nah, fam. Nah,
Where's Maxine Waters at? Where's Maxine Waters?
How have y'all? Maxine Waters said in 2019 that she would never speak and forgive black men that voted for Trump. Where is her voice at on issues concerning American freedmen and them getting a piece of what they're owed in a state like California? Why has she not come out and championed this legislation for her people? But she beat that drum when it's time to shame our men. That is the Democratic Party, and we're no longer voting for that. So, is it time to vote Republican? Let me answer the question, Ali. Yes. Let me answer that question. It's time to vote Republican, and it's time for us to become the politicians, because in that party, we know what that party has in it. But that party wasn't always like that. but that element was always there. Look up the lily white Republicans. It wasn't just no smooth sailing in the Republican Party. The lily white Republicans were our opposition in that party, and that's a fact. That's a fact. But for the most part, that was a party that we helped build up and we helped structure. And now we're moving back. It's time for us to move back towards where our foundation is. It is time for Reconstruction 2.0, or some will say Reconstruction 3.0. I'm going to say 2.0. And because I don't think that the civil rights movement in the 60s was a reconstruction, because, I'm not going to say it necessarily reconstructed anything, but there's some people that may argue with me on that point, and I might not argue back with them. I might say, okay, I agree, but it wasn't like reconstruction. And I think now is the time for us to start pressing, man. So, we gotta wake this thing up, fam. Join the Freedmen movement. Join this movement right here. We're not about the games. We're not about the BS. We're not about the nonsense, the backbiting, the backstabbing, etc., etc., etc. We are about this work. Point blank, period. So I say yes, man. So Ali, I'm about to get up off of here, bro. I don't know if you want to say one more word or two, but
No, I'm good, man. Thank you, bro. I'm good.
okay, definitely, and thank you, bro. And shout out to Be the Power, man. Shout out to Josh. Shout out to Ibrahim, and shout out to those that helped create this platform. Shout out to our brother Logic. Shout out to our brother Grim. We're gonna always get shouts outs over here, and that is a fact. So, without further ado, family, I'll leave you all with the motto of this platform, which is: don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.